Player 2 has joined the game.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a very special episode 179 of the Two Player Co-op Podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts here, Kevin, along with my brother from my mother, Sean.
How we doing?
Pretty good. And joining us for the first time in a long time, like 2.5 years, something like that.
Yeah, whenever Sean's wedding was.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
It's been a while. We have to every time. Jayson, how you doing, man?
Not too bad. How you guys doing?
Good.
Hanging in there.
Yeah. We're not going to go through the whole rigmarole. You know everything. YouTube, Patreon, all that other stuff. We're just doing this kind of as a bonus episode. This should be going up Monday. Hopefully you're watching this. And if you couldn't tell by the title, this is a spoiler cast for Final Fantasy VII Remake. And this is something I'm very excited about. I beat the game on Friday. Sean and Jayson beat it a few days before I did. They're both Final Fantasy veterans. I am the newbie. And we wanted to all get together and just spoil the hell out of this game, and I'm so excited for it.
So one thing I will say, I just said this off air for Kevin's benefit, but just FYI, in case anybody's wondering, this will be very much a spoiler cast for the remake, but we're not, other than the one big spoiler, which I think everybody knows now, we're not talking about anything from the original beyond what's happened in the remake so far. So we're not going to spoil. If somehow you don't know anything about the original and don't want to know anything about the original until you've played the next episodes, whatever they're going to call it, of the remake, we're not going to get into that besides the one big thing that I'm sure everybody already knows. So
yeah, and I will say, so last night I did go start Final Fantasy VII, the regular, and I think I got to the point where I quit last time. And it's just, I still don't know about the whole turn-based thing. I really don't. I kept hitting R3. I was like, just give me a little, I just want to get through this. I want to see what I can see. And it is funny how quickly you get to going on that second bombing run. I mean, I played for 45 minutes and I'm about to go into the reactor. Whereas I don't think you got to that for like 5 hours in the remake.
Right. So I'm playing through it also. And I've been doing pretty much the whole game on fast mode, and I've gotten to the point now where I pretty much just leave the limit break thing on. I'm just like, I don't care. Like, I've still never actually beaten Ruby and Emerald, which I want to actually try to do this time.
They're such a pain in the butt.
I know. That's why I'm like, I'm not looking for, and I'm going to try to do it the right way. I'm not just going to go in with overdrive and infinite health on. I'm going to try to do it the right way, but I'll probably cheat my way till I get to level 99 and whatever. But I do want to try to do that this time. But so I've just been flying through it. I got to the part earlier today, and even just knowing what's going to happen, it still gets to me. Like, I find myself getting a little bit choked up, and it's weird. Like, despite in today's world, the just terrible graphics and the lack of any voice acting, and like I said, just knowing exactly what's going to happen and having been through it many times now, I'm still just like, oh God. So it's really going to break me when we get there in the remake. So
I feel like the high-res graphics are really going to have that effect on me.
And all the voice acting and just it's just going to be torture.
Rather than like reading it through text. It's just,
exactly.
Well, yeah, and I love, that's probably my favorite part of this. Actually, my favorite part of the game, it is actually, I've got 3 favorite parts that they're all tied, which is why this is easily my game of the year. It's the combat, it's the story, which I didn't find super confusing except for a few things that we'll get into, but then just the actual the characters and the characterizations and the voice acting and everything in this is just so freaking well done. It's just incredible that they, like I was saying last week on the podcast, they want this death to hurt like hell, and it's going to, because you just, all the time you spend with Aerith, I don't know how much time you spend with her through Midgar in the original game, but you spend so much time with her here, and just walking around with her and Cloud going back and forth, and Cloud finally letting his guard down and high-fiving her and all this other stuff. I'm just like, oh God, this is gonna suck so bad.
Well, yeah, and I think we touched on it a little bit in the last normal episode, but the voice acting is perfect. Like I never saw Advent Children. I don't know if any of the other spin-offs had any kind of like Crisis Core. I don't know if that had voice acting. So like I've never played it. I never saw Advent Children. I've never heard, other than like Cloud and Sephiroth in Kingdom Hearts, I've never heard like any of these characters speak before, and yet somehow they all sound exactly like I just always pictured them sounding in my head. I don't know. I just think they nailed it.
I think the only one that I don't whose voice didn't sound like what I pictured was Barrett's. And I don't know why, but it just, for whatever reason, his voice just doesn't sound like, in my head, didn't sound like it does in the game.
Yeah.
But after the initial shock of that, it was like, that's perfect. Like, I don't know why I thought it was anything but that, you know?
I guess the one caveat I do have is, to me, Red 13, I got over it quick, but I expected Red 13 to sound like this, like college professor, and just very well spoken, and then once I heard him talk, he's just like, hey guys, yeah, I'm Red 13. I'm just like, I don't know, to me it didn't sound like I would have expected it, but then by the end of it I'm just like, yeah, whatever, that's Red 13.
Oddly enough, with Red 13, I thought the exact opposite. I thought
Really?
he was going to be like I thought it was going to be more like a more guttural, like almost sounds like a dog trying to talk kind of voice, rather than like this kind of like the voice of just like, oh, I can talk very well, even though I can eat your face off, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I kind of want to hear what Kevin's impressions of the game was before you and I start devolving into like.
So let me take up from where I was on the last podcast. So did Corneo kill Leslie's fiance, I guess? Well, no, then we find out that we don't find out, but they tell him, hey, maybe she's still alive. You can still have hope. Go find her, something. Right. I think Cloud has gotten so much better as a character as the game went on. At first, he was just like a little bee. And then he got, as like I was kind of saying with Aerith, as he lets his guard down, it seems like he gets better and better and better as the game goes on.
And that continues. I mean, again, in the original, like throughout the entire thing, he just becomes more and more of like a human being, as opposed to just like, yeah, I don't care, screw the planet, just pay me, I'll do whatever. Like he continues to get better and better.
He's a much better character by the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
See, but I want it, like you say, he gets to be a human being, and I want to ask, like, what the hell is he a human being? Because I don't know, and I'm not even looking at your faces right now. I'm looking in the camera, so I can't see if you're making anything. But like, it seems like they're foreshadowing a lot that either he's a clone or something, and then there's Zach. We can get into that. I don't know what the hell Cloud is. Hojo says something to him about how, you're not. I don't think he says you're not a soldier, but he says you're not just a soldier or something like that. I was like, what the hell is going on?
So I'm playing through the game, I think for like I would guess fourth or fifth time. And I still have questions. I still don't really know
that one's
exactly what has happened. And I'm to the point now where, so Jayson, you've played the original many times.
Oh yeah.
You know the stuff that happens in Mideel when you have that
actually,
weird.
You know, it's funny. I loaded up my Switch yesterday afternoon, and guess where I was?
Right there.
Mideel.
So that whole thing, I don't want to say too much, but where you're controlling Tifa.
Uh-huh.
That whole part where it kind of explains everything.
Yeah.
I got through that and I'm still like, so wait a minute. Like, I still just don't feel like I get it. I don't know. But there's no reason you shouldn't be confused right now. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing until you've played through it a couple times and you start picking up the bits and pieces of everything, and you just realize,
Yeah.
I get what happened.
I feel like every time I play through it, I learn something that I didn't know before, or I at least learned something that I had forgotten before or something. Because even this time I'm like, oh, I get it because blah, blah, blah. And yeah.
When you're climbing back up, when you're going up to get to Shinra, there's so many ladders. All I could think of course, was Metal Gear Solid 3. I just had to throw that out. I love the cutscene at the end of chapter 15 with all the grappling hooks and everybody's kind of being like Batman. I thought that was freaking awesome. What were you going to say?
Go ahead, because you're about to get there, so I'll wait and then I'll ask.
If let me guess what you were going to ask. And yes, I knew no, because I think I texted you this. When Cloud stands in front of Shinra and it zooms out and you see him there and he grabs it wasn't a Buster Sword by then, but that iconic shot that I've seen so many times in the original game and in the lead up to this with the art, the different screenshots they put out and everything. I was just like, I didn't get chills, but it was close because I was just like, holy crap, this is it. I'm finally experiencing it, and it's just so freaking awesome.
Yeah.
What were you going to ask me?
When you got to the Shinra building,
yes,
did you take the elevator or the stairs?
I took the elevator.
See, I didn't because I saw the elevator and I'm like, well, I don't want to go that way yet. I'm going to see what's over here. And I wound up in the stairwell, and somebody said something that made it sound like, oh, it was like I had skipped a part. Like if I had gone to the elevator, they would have not been working and they would have said, well, I guess we got to take the stairs. Like they said something to that effect that made it seem like that's what would have happened had I gone to the elevator. So I'm like, got to take the stairs. You literally walk up 59 flights of stairs.
You're kidding.
And there's a lot of cool like dialogue going on because there's nothing else going. And it's not like you just like hold sprint and you can run. I was going up the stairs. It was probably like 3 or 4 minutes, but it felt like 10 or 15 minutes. But it was cool. Like I don't regret it. And because I was texting Jayson at the time, and I'm like, oh my God, these freaking stairs. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm in the Shinra building. He's like, yeah, I just took the elevator. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So I thought,
that was
if
really
nothing
funny.
else, when I get to the top, I bet a trophy will pop for having taken the stairs. Nothing.
Nothing.
I thought at least I would get a trophy out of it. I got nothing.
No, and you actually lose out on some storyline development of Shinra itself a little bit.
Really?
Going up the stairs. Yeah. But it's kind of minor. You just have like some people that like get in the elevator. They're like, hey, oh, did you hear about the plate falling? Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And, it just kind of humanizes Shinra a little bit. That's about the only thing you miss out on. But what's funny? The reason why I didn't take the stairs is, so a minor spoiler for the rest of the game, but you end up going back to the Shinra building later in the game.
Okay.
And you have to take the stairs then. And I remembered that because specifically, and the reason why I'm going to tell you this is because if you don't have Barrett in your party, when you do that, you lose out on his ultimate weapon.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I have to go back here at some point anyway, so I'm just going to take the elevator now, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
See, what I was like, I'm going to try, because they say something like, you want to take the stairs, you want to take the elevator. And I was like, I feel like if I go up to the elevator, they're going to say you need a key card or something. It's not going to work. So
that's what I thought was going to happen. That's why I'm like, well, let me go see what's over here. And then it was the stairs, but then they made it sound like, I guess we got to take the stairs. I'm like, okay, so I guess I can't take the elevator, but oh well.
That's hilarious. No, I didn't even. Yeah, once I got in there, I was like, okay, cool. And then you have a couple small fights, and then you get, like Jayson was saying, a couple people get on the elevator. One doesn't even notice you, which is hilarious. That there's 3 people standing there. One guy's got a cannon for an arm. Another guy's got a giant sword, and he's just talking on the phone, oblivious. Which I almost thought that was almost like a commentary on society, that you're just talking on the phone, you don't notice people around you.
Yeah.
Shinra headquarters is beautiful. A lot of those hallways also, because I have to do this on every podcast, and I'm going to do it for the second time. The insides of that building kind of reminded me of Metal Gear Solid 1. like it reminded me of going around the inside of Shadow Moses for some reason. I liked it. I thought it was cool. I liked going on the tour.
That was cool. Yeah, that was a nice touch.
Is that new?
Yeah, that's not.
Okay.
The Shinra building in the other one, it's like, it looks nothing like that. Everything, it looks like a, I don't know how to explain it. Everything's just very well lit and bright, like light colors, as opposed to this one where everything's like dark and like shiny and like, I don't know. It looks way more like it should in this game.
Did Hojo? I'm just going through all the notes I was taking when I was playing this. Does Hojo want Aerith and Sephiroth to have a kid? I wrote down.
They definitely made it seem that way in this one. I don't remember that being in the original, but then again,
so in the original one, it's even more messed up because I kept waiting for it here, and then they never really did it, or at least it wasn't as obvious. But in the original, they almost flat out say that they're trying to breed Aerith with Red 13.
What the hell?
Oh yes, you're
and
right.
They
I
don't
remember
really,
that.
and that's why they had them in like, again, I don't even remember what happened in the new one because I just played the old one. But in the old one, they've got them in the same container thing.
Right.
But I think they were in separate ones in this
Yeah.
one. So I don't know if they're like, that's a bit much. Let's not
That's
go that way in the remake.
That's towing the line right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this one, they're in separate ones. I think when Barrett, wow. When Barrett breaks out Aerith, something happens or something blows up that then opens up Red 13's chamber, and that's when he jumps out and it's like, I'm gonna go eat Hojo.
Yeah.
Right. And his mind's all screwed up, and she doesn't she heals his mind or whatever.
Yeah, that again, another moment where Aerith is just awesome, and she's like, "No, it's okay, little kitty cat rat dog thing, whatever you are."
What was the phrase they used? Like, cat. I'm a cat.
Lab rat
dog.
dog.
Lab rat dog. That's what it was.
I wrote it down. Is that what? Oh, where is it now? I don't see
lab rat dog. I think.
I laughed so hard when they said that, and that one fight scene was like, "I'm a soldier.
Yeah.
I'm
Ooh, flower girl. Lab rat dog.
Lab rat dog.
Yeah.
What else do I have here? Chapter 17 kind of dragged on a little bit when you're going through Shinra, when you've got to go through each of like the 3 sections. I mean, they were fun fights, but it was just like, how many times am I going to do this and not be able to get to Hojo? Just like, I'm like, that was the only part of the game. And there's other parts where you're like walking with Aerith that it does kind of drag a little bit. You can tell there's filler, but I thought that was my only gripe about that penultimate chapter, was it just felt like there was like one too many of those sections or something. But I don't know what you guys feel.
That was all new. That was not in the original.
Yeah, once they got done with that the cycle chase thing where the Cloud's on the bike and you're trying to kill shit with a sword.
Yep.
After that, it just kind of went like, oh, now I'm on the world map. I can walk around or do whatever. In the original, in this, it was just like I got to that point. And I'm like, oh, look, a place where I can sit, a place where I can get items, and a place where I can sit down. Like, this is not gonna great.
Yeah, they added a lot. They definitely added a lot to this one, but
that was like 2 hours. That was another 2 hours after that point.
It added a lot. Yeah, so it was the only place that made sense to end this game was where they ended it, when you leave Midgar. However, in the original, that doesn't really.
It's not a lot. It's not a story.
The whole motorcycle thing was kind of epic in the original.
Yeah, especially given the technology at the time.
Right, but it's not a good way to. That would not be a good way to just end the game. So I get why they did it. They added a lot at the end, and they just made the Shinra building just way more immersive. And there's a lot more going on there.
They made it a lot more immersive, but they also made it a lot less there. If that makes any sense. So, like, if you remember in the original, like, you obviously you said you just played it. Like, you have to go up through and like you have to like move all the doors around, or like, or unlock all the keypads or whatever it was, and you have to get all the items. Or if you want to, you can go get all the items.
Right.
That wasn't in this one. Right.
Yeah, and what was cool, I thought they were going to redo it, and they didn't. But they show you at some point you get to like the big Midgar model, and then they're just like, oh. That's Midgar, one 30,000th the size or whatever they said. In the original, it's not a huge thing, but like that's an entire floor with that model in the middle, and there's like missing pieces of it, and you need to go find the missing pieces of it and put it back together. And they just skipped all that in the new one. But I thought it was cool. It was a nice homage back to the original.
There was a lot of that in this game.
Oh yeah,
like it was great.
Well, like all the cutscenes in this game are phenomenal. They're well done. They're hype AF. Like when Cloud jumps at Sephiroth in chapter 17 before he cuts the walkway, the bridge thing or whatever. Like I think I stood up out of my chair because I was like, oh my God, this is finally gonna happen. And then he just wrecked Cloud, and I was like, oh crap. But I'm like, I know I'm gonna get to fight him at some point, but that was awesome. And I freaking love this game. What is going on?
Oh, I wanted to ask you something.
Okay.
Because you texted me, and I think I misunderstood. I either misunderstood what you were asking, or I maybe wasn't sure where in the game you were at. I'm not going to try to find it. But you texted me something along the lines of, what's up with the cat? Or what's the deal with the cat?
Yeah.
Deal with what cat?
So what? Are you talking about when the plate fell?
Yeah, and the cat, and Tifa like says, "Oh, thank you" to the cat, and it's like
literally a cat,
a little cat.
Oh,
looked like
Wedge's
Abby.
cat. It was
Wedge's
like Wedge's cat. I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I thought you were talking about.
That's all new too. Like
so, they also, I think it was when the plate fell. They showed something big happens. I think it was when the plate fell. They show another cat that didn't really look like a cat. It was like it didn't look like a real life cat. It looked like anyway, Jayson, I'm guessing what it was supposed to be is Kate Sith. Although what I heard in a video,
so
they pronounce it. I've only heard this on one video. I think it's somebody just trying to be over the top. They were pronouncing Kate Sith, which is how it looks like it should be pronounced, as Cat She, like SHE, Cat She, which doesn't even make sense.
I'm not surprised by that, but yeah. So like you're talking about like the scene where like the plate's
like
falling and you see
then,
like this thing run out to the edge of it and just kind of go like this, right?
Yeah, and he's just
that is Kate Sith.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And
then
Kate
they were
Sith.
just like, okay, moving on. So after you texted that, I'm like, oh wait, maybe that's what he was talking about. But maybe you didn't even know. You probably would have seen it and not thought anything of it. But as soon as I saw it, I'm like,
so much.
He sucks. I wouldn't be. I kind of hope he's not even. I mean, he needs to be there for some parts, but I kind of just wish he wouldn't even be in the remake. But whatever.
Yeah, he kind of has to be, unfortunately, based on how the story unfolds. But
I like the boss fight up top of Shinra between. Oh yeah, okay. So wait, before we get to that, so we get to the top. The President Shinra is hanging off the building. Barrett saves him. The whole time he's letting this guy walk away when he's yelling at him. I'm like, he's going to try to kill you. He's going to hit an alarm or something. And then sure enough, he grabs a gun. But it's so funny. I know it's a video game, but I'm like, he's pointing a gun at you. Okay. You've been getting shot 15,000 times in this game. And then it only takes away like 15 HP each time. But now this one bullet is going to kill you or something. I thought that was just funny.
So I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but like one of the things that it picked up on me is it was a golden gun, right?
Yes.
So have you ever played GoldenEye?
Yeah.
So yeah, one of the things with that is the golden gun is one shot kill.
Right.
That's awesome.
So that's how I interpret it. That just might be me, but that's how I interpreted that.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. But
so then he doesn't get to shoot Barrett because Sephiroth stabs him and does kill him, then stabs Barrett, but the Whispers end up saving Barrett because he was not supposed to die then.
Yep.
Okay. So then we go from there to but then, oh yeah, you've got that boss fight first, the boss fight against Genova. That was when you fight Genova, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so confused. First off, I don't understand.
You should be.
Sephiroth.
The whole Genova thing they kind of explain it later on in the game, but it's very, very confusing.
It's like Mother Earth or something.
It'll be there throughout the rest of the story, and
eventually they'll explain it. I forget what the explicit part of it is. It's just like technically it's Sephiroth's mother,
right? And Cloud calls her mother too at that one point before he passes out.
It's a whole weird thing.
That's the whole Cloud weirdness thing going on.
Okay,
there.
Yeah.
So what I don't get, so can Sephiroth? He can just teleport or something? Like where this guy just appears literally out of nowhere. I know the feather thing shows he's coming or he just left or something, but like he can just, and maybe I'm not supposed to understand this at this point, he can just show up anywhere out of nowhere. And then before that boss fight, it's almost like I thought Sephiroth was turning into Genova or something. And like I don't know where the Genova fight even came from. I don't think I was drinking when I was playing it that night. But I don't know how that even.
But they do that in the original too. Like I'm trying to think of what to compare it to.
So like in the original, what happens is you see like Sephiroth do something and then like throw a piece of something,
right?
And then boss fight.
And then all of a sudden you're in a boss fight and it's against Genova. Like it's
right.
Just
So
it's weird. They don't really like, here comes Genova. It's like, Sephiroth, and then all of a sudden it's like
he's not,
and then you're in a fight with Genova.
Yeah.
He's not just like Genova, I summon thee, right, or something.
Well,
like
it's kind of like if you in the original is like he like drops something or throws something, it's almost like he's throwing a Pokeball and Genova comes out.
Right, exactly.
But it's like, it happens throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
all right, I don't feel so bad then.
At least a couple of times.
I like that boss fight. I like that you had to kill all the tentacles first and everything. That one was kind of long too.
That was a long fight.
When did you fight? Now I can't remember. I think I skipped over it. When do you fight the crazy? When it's just Barrett. Who was it? It was Barrett and Aerith, I think, right? Fighting the giant robot. It's
Arsenal. After you fight. Well, after Cloud fights Rufus, so he
after
stays.
Rufus. Okay, that's right.
So I think they're meant to be going on essentially simultaneously.
That's how it is in the original.
So you do the Cloud fight, and then while they're all trying to escape, they run into that thing.
Okay, so let's do the Rufus fight first. I love that boss fight. At first, I was
so good.
I can't hit this freaking guy, and then I was finally like, maybe it's the dog. So then I just focused on the dog. That thing was huge, by the way. So I focused on that. I killed that. And then it was all about like, how did I really just had to get my ATB gauge up. Cause it's like, if you just try to attack him, it's like he would just quick dodge, go behind you and shoot you in the back of the head. It was all for me. Like I would have to run around, try to dodge him until I could get my ATB up. And then I'd hit him with a Faraga, I think. And that would at least stun him to where I could get up there. I never got him staggered, I don't think. Maybe at the very end of the fight. I can't remember. I staggered him, but
I had issues hitting him. Once I get towards the end of the fight, I couldn't hit him. And I basically just went into Punisher mode and just blocked and just waited for him to hit me with something that would allow me to counterattack. And then I, hit him with a combo. And I had to do that a few times just to finish it. That was like the only way I could realistically get any hits in on him.
Yeah, I would let him do his thing and then try and dodge it and hit triple slash because you fly in from where like way across the thing. So I was just using that all the time.
That's the ability I ended up for like the last, I don't even know, 10 hours of the game. I was just using triple slash all the time. Because even if I was just fighting one boss, I'm like, well, I'll hit him 3 times. Like it was so like I didn't ever use Braver. I didn't use anything else. Once I got that, I was like, there's no point in me trying to level up anything else. I know I'm not going to get the platinum in this game. I love the triple slash. I'm just going to keep triple slashing.
They nerfed
Braver
like
quite
that's
a bit.
your first. Well,
that's your first limit break.
It's your second limit break.
No, it's the first.
Oh, no, it is.
No,
it's
the first.
The first
one.
Yeah,
the cross slash is the second
one.
Yeah.
So it's not even a limit in this. Did you even use Blade Beam? Like that's a limit break in the first one.
It's not Blade Beam in this one. It's something else. It's Blade something. But
I thought it was called Blade Beam, but I guess it's meant to be the same thing.
It's the exact same thing, but it's like I use that a lot because that was another one that was like the biggest thing I had a problem with in that game was actually Cloud's abilities because Cloud like they hit like a truck, but like Braver took forever to go off. Like you'd sit there
and it's so easy to just get canceled out of it if they touch you.
Right. So like triple slash doesn't get canceled as easily. So I use that all the time.
I almost had more fun. I didn't realize it until the end of the game, but playing as Tifa.
Yeah, I did too.
Like towards the end, I just started switching to her for some of the fights, and
She's so quick. Like
she's super fast. Yeah,
and I love her. The only ability I really used with her was just the I think it was just the overcharge.
Yeah.
And then I'd hit the super super Shoryuken.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I liked fighting as her. I couldn't use Aerith except for Aerith came in to let's get to that then. So in the Arsenal boss fight, it's just Barrett and Aerith. It's Barrett as I coined it.
I like that one.
This was the longest boss fight. Like I think this took me longer than Sephiroth. Yeah. This took me like 25 minutes, I think. And I was like, I'm doing like 1 or 2 damage every time I shoot this thing. I was like, okay, so I got to take out these the drone things or whatever. Take them out. But then when there's one left and it's behind Arsenal. So what I ended up doing was I had Aerith on one side, Barrett on the other, and whoever he would turn around and focus, I would switch to the other one. If it was Aerith, I'd just start doing magic. If it was Barrett, I would hopefully had an overcharge and I'd let it go. And then I think I ended up using Barrett's limit break on the last drone just to freaking get rid of the stupid thing. But then it's got the 1-hit kills. Like I was telling Sean, I think I went through like 10 or 12 mega potions, 5, 6, 7 Phoenix Downs in that fight. Like I was like, I don't know. It got to the point where I was like, I could screw this up and have them both die like bang, bang. Like if I'm not behind a pillar when that 1-hit kill laser thing comes out, I'm screwed. And
that got me a few times.
Yeah, I was so happy when I finally beat it because it took like 20 to 25 minutes. It was fun, but I was like, I don't know that I can beat this guy. I'm not doing any damage. It's just, man. And then when you got the fire on both sides and stuff, I was like, now I'm scared to death because he's going to 1-hit laser me and then I'm going to have to start from the beginning. But I killed him just in time, and it was crazy.
So on that one, it took me a while to figure out, but there was like when he like went to charge up an attack, you could hit him in the blaster, and that does a lot of damage.
I kept seeing that pop up, but it's like I could never. It said weak point or something, but I could never get Barrett to like actually. I'm like, freaking Barrett, shoot the weak point! Like, oh,
yeah. So basically, you just have to target it and like cycle through it real quick. And I usually stored up his. I forget what the name of the ability is, but it's his 2 power special that you hit.
Oh,
that takes 2 ATBs.
Maximum Fury or whatever.
Yeah, and that would just do a lot of damage to him.
Yeah.
So eventually that one took me a minute to realize that was how you killed that guy. You take out the drones and you keep hitting them in the cannon whenever it goes off, and that makes it a lot easier. I think mine was 15 to 20 minutes when I fought it.
Yeah, mine took a while. I didn't even realize you could do that. I remember seeing the weak point pop up sometimes, but yeah, I had the same issue where I couldn't get him to target it. But
yeah, it took some practice after a while. Eventually, I got it, but it was like eventually I would just like charge up his double ATB and just sit there and wait for him to like go do it, and then try and target it as quickly as I could.
Right.
So then we get out and we do the cool motorcycle chase. You fight the big robot thing. I was telling Sean, I thought Roach was going to show back up, or Roche, however you say his name.
Thought that too. I thought they were going to change that and add that, but he did.
Yeah. So is that in the original game? The motorcycle with the big robot?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like after Cloud comes down and he does the whole spinny thing with the motorcycle and starts taking people out with the motorcycle, from that point on is right out of the first game.
That's awesome.
The only difference is the robot thing you fight at the end of the motorcycle scene. You fight him. That's in the original, but it's like a normal.
It's just a normal battle.
You can't. There'd be no way to fight him on a motorcycle in the original. Right. So like in the original, like you get to the end of the highway, you fight that, and then you leave Midgar. So that's like the end of that whole part in the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be weird to just end this game with just another like robot fight thing. So
another question I have, and it might be one of those where you're like, it'll make sense eventually. The Whispers, first off, I can't remember, Sean, if you said these things, they were in the original or they weren't?
They were not.
Okay. So nobody knows what the hell it means that all the Whispers are surrounding Shinra. Like, are they trying to protect Shinra or something? Like, I just, that I did not understand.
So I stumbled across like one of those people who are trying to explain the ending to games, one of those people.
Yeah.
And the Whispers are very interesting. The minute I read what he said, it made perfect sense. I don't know if you want to come back to that after we finish out the rest of the game. Or,
Okay.
So I've got a bunch. This is the type of stuff I was telling you, Kevin.
Your
Don't
mind-blowing
watch any
stuff.
videos because
Okay.
I want to blow your mind with some of this stuff, and it kind of relates to that.
All right, so let's get through the end of this then, because I cannot. I've got questions. I love when Aerith said to Sephiroth. I wrote down here. I don't know if I got all the quotes right, but she said, "And you're wrong. Everything about you is wrong." And I was like, I love Aerith. Please, just don't kill her. Let's change that. You're changing other stuff. Just don't kill her.
Yeah.
Barrett says, "Daddy's coming home soon, Marlene." I love that. I wrote down WTF is happening in this final area. So everything after the robot on the highway was new. Like
yes,
those three, the fight against the three things where you're just like in.
That's all new.
Okay. Were those things, whatever they are they in the original game at all?
So when they fuse together and form some sort of Bahamut, I don't remember which one there was. In the original, there's 3 different Bahamut materials. There's Neo, Giga, and just base Bahamut.
It's Bahamut, Neo Bahamut, and Bahamut Zero.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And I think it's supposed to be one of those guys that you're fighting then, but other than that, none of it is. None of that is from the first game.
Okay. There was a scene when I was getting near the end of the fight against those things where I think I saw a split-second look at Aerith's death, but I'm not sure. I remember there was there was water, and I know that Cloud's in water holding her.
And you see a ball materia drop.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's it's horrible. Okay, well that sucks. Aerith, I wrote down here, Aerith getting involved in saving Cloud. She just keeps being the best character ever. Once you then you get to the Sephiroth fight. So Sephiroth is not, you don't fight him until much later in the original game, from what I understand, correct?
You don't fight him. It's like the end of the game, really.
He's the final boss.
Yeah, there's like I said, there's the Genova fights and stuff, but you don't fight him until like the final boss.
Yeah, okay. There's not even like this weird thing where you fight a part of him and he runs away. Like you do not fight Sephiroth until the end of the game.
That's crazy. Okay. I loved the fight against Sephiroth. I loved when, and again, I've only played the original for 45 minutes, but I know certain music tracks. And when One Winged Angel came on, like I paused and I texted Sean. I was like, "Oh my God, One Winged Angel. This is freaking awesome. I can't believe this is happening." And I don't know if I'm supposed to say winged or winged. I don't know how that's pronounced, but
I think it's winged.
The whole fight was awesome. There's like, when you beat him and then there's a vision. He says, "I will not end. Neither will you." The whole cutscene. They says something about 7 seconds until the end. What will you do with it? Rufus is the president now. Hojo seems way too happy with everything that happened. And then I write, who the F is Zach? Then Zach is carrying Cloud, and I guess Aerith can see it. So that's pretty much the end of the game. Is there anything you guys want to add? What did you think about the Sephiroth fight and all that? And then I want my mind to be blown.
Okay, so I hated the entire sequence up to the Sephiroth fight. Hated it. Like it was probably the biggest letdown for me was the fact that they felt the need to add this really long Kingdom Hearts style boss fight.
I saw that on Twitter before I got to the end of the game. I stumbled across somebody tweeting like, "Oh, I can't believe they screwed up the end of this game and turned it into Kingdom Hearts." I'm like, no, I don't want to read this. I don't want to read this. And then when I got to that fight, I'm like, okay, that's what they're
against the
about.
Bahamuts or whatever they are.
Those things.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going. Other the Sephiroth portion of it was like, okay, this I like. Yeah. But up to that, in between when you get off the highway to that, like I hated it.
Yeah.
But I can see why they did it, because they felt like they needed to add a final boss sequence to a full featured game. Because I think I had almost 30 hours in that game by the time I beat it.
Yeah, I was right under 29, but I got to the point where I just started skipping all the side quests because I read somewhere that I screwed up, and you have to. I didn't get the elemental materia way back when you're doing the sunlight things or whatever. And then I read the only way you can get one is if you do every side quest. I was like, well, crap, I've already skipped a couple side quests, so I'm just not doing any more. I want to get to the end of this game and see what happens.
Yeah. After I think the first set of side quests, like I forget which chapter that was in, like where you're in, you're still in Sector 7.
Yeah.
I did all the side quests there, and then once we got to Wall Market, I stopped doing them. Basically. I did some of them, but apparently there's a bunch of battle scenes. The Coliseum, if you did that, gave you weapons for Cloud and Aerith. You basically, one of them you had to solo it as Aerith, I believe.
Oh God.
Like, yeah. So I didn't do those, but I stopped doing all the side quests at that point. I did do some of the summons. I did get because you don't start off with you only start off with Ifrit. I think throughout the storyline, that's the only one you can get without doing any of the unless you pre-ordered and got the ones for pre-ordering.
Right.
There's another one you can get around the same point where you missed that elemental. There's another summon you can get in that part where you're turning off the sun light things. It was like Fat Chocobo or Chocomog or
That's Chocomog. That's Chocomog.
Okay.
Right, I forgot about that. But I got Shiva and Leviathan and Fat Chocobo.
Yeah.
After that, I just didn't finish all the side quests to get the rest of them. But apparently that's the way you can get Bahamut.
Oh, I didn't even know Bahamut was in it. Besides fighting him.
You had to basically do all of Chauncey's or Chauncey's, whatever the heck his name is. You had to do all of the battle intel, and that unlocks either Bahamut or the guy before Bahamut, and then you just use the rest of them. I actually looked out, and Ifrit's procced while I was fighting Shiva, which was fun. Like, and she just melts. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I had Shiva through the rest of the game at that point.
Yeah. So in general, I liked it. I didn't mind that fight, but I get people's complaints about it because it seemed it seemed very out of place because it wasn't in the original. It is very Kingdom Hearts-esque. I loved the Sephiroth fight. Anytime where you have like a game like this and it's just like a one-on-one story. So it kind of reminded me of like the end of Twilight Princess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a Link and Ganondorf kind of thing. I'm like, I love this. Not really that it felt out of place, but just being different from the original, I still loved it. Part of me is like, I don't want to fight Sephiroth yet. I have no business even being able to hang with him at this point. Like, he's supposed to be just untouchable, but yet you fight him here and you win. I don't know. So from an overall story kind of thing, I don't know. I can think my way into not liking it, but in general, I loved it. It was still awesome.
I was kind of the same way, is that, once it got to the point where it was like, okay, I'm out of this stupid Kingdom Hearts boss rush thing that they had going on. Now I'm fighting Sephiroth. I'm like, I know I'm not supposed to be fighting him yet because you don't really, he's not exactly the hardest boss to beat in the original, but only because of like what happens in the storyline, you get so powered up that it's pretty easy usually to beat him.
Yeah.
And this is just like, I found that to be the appropriate level of difficult, given the fact that there's, it starts off with you and Cloud, but then Aerith and Barrett come in, if memory serves.
Yeah. Aerith and Tifa, I think. Oh wait, does Barrett show up?
I don't know. I think I had
just Aerith and Tifa. Well, yeah, maybe
now
it
I
depends
can't
on who's in
remember.
your party or something. But yeah, I think it was Aerith and Tifa.
I think for me it was Aerith. I think it was Barrett and Aerith for me.
Barrett,
yes. So yeah, overall, I love the game too. My biggest problem is actually the battle system. I hated the fact that your party members did not generate their ATB gauges fast enough, unless you were controlling them or had haste on them.
Yeah, I wish. In general, I liked it, but I think my biggest thing is I don't think using items should be dependent on the ATB.
I would agree.
I can understand your skills or whatever you want to call them. or your ability. I don't know how they refer to them. And magic, I get that, but I feel like items should just be, you can use items whenever you want.
Right. I mean, the original game was based on that too. It was like ATB was how you
right.
used
You couldn't do
everything,
anything until it was your turn, but I don't know.
See, I liked it because like I've said a million times, I've never been the turn-based guy. So I liked it. But I did also, as I was playing this, I was like, if I'm not controlling somebody, they're like
worthless.
They're just half-assing it. Yeah. It's like, what would you guys like do something, please?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I remember
I agree with that.
I remember at one point I'm sitting there controlling Aerith, trying to build up her ATB gauge so that I could res, I think, Tifa. And Cloud's just standing there blocking with a sword. And I'm like, really?
You're like,
really?
Dude, Cloud, come on, man.
Like, go smash him, please. I mean, they don't use any of their ATB gauges, which is nice because it's nice that you can control that. But, it kind of got annoying. Like, some of them, like some of the party members, like, their ATB gauge is like, I think Cloud's actually charged up the slowest out of all of them.
Yeah, anytime I would switch to Tifa, I would just run up to somebody and be like
boom,
and it's like boop, 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 and I got like the whole thing full. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, or Aerith, you just like you hit something 6 times with her like magic attack, and it's just okay, full. Barrett, you just hold down his shoot button and you're full. Yeah. And Cloud is just like, okay, let me attack 17 times, and eventually I'll get an ATB gauge. I think they did that to kind of balance it because Cloud's attacks are so strong. Like I believe Cloud's abilities are the strongest, but I think Tifa does more damage.
Yeah.
Because of how slow his charge.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I like what they were going for. For the most part, I like the battle system. It could definitely be tweaked going forward, but it's a nice blend of, you can't make that game turn-based, like purely turn-based. It just doesn't work. So I appreciate what they're going for. I think it works pretty well. But yeah, there's some things I think could be changed.
Yeah, I don't like the the other thing I didn't like about the battle system was how easy it was to get interrupted sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like it was so annoying. Like and so how hard it was to interrupt something else.
Yeah.
Well, there would be times where I'd be doing like a limit break, and I would hit X or whatever to like have him do it, and then poof, I'd get hit with something,
right?
Enough
the limit
to
break's
like
gone.
knock me back, and you still do the limit break, but by that point, the enemy's like run away, and I miss, and I don't hit anybody with it. I'm like, well, that was all a waste.
That was like the most frustrating thing is when I would do a limit break and then somebody would dash away, or towards the end when you're fighting those like things that come up like the whack-a-mole things.
Yeah.
I hated those things so much. I'd be like limit break. And by the time he does his pose and goes, and then they go, and they pop up over here. I'm like, you son of a damn it. I hate these things.
Yeah. So I never actually had a problem with cross slash at all. Like it seems like that you could hit that from across the room and it would still damage them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The one that always screwed with me was somersault with Tifa. That's the one that I always missed with.
It has no range.
So the ending and everything, does anything in the ending make sense for the final game? And Sean, you can start to blow my mind and stuff now. Like is
you talking the cutscene, the final cutscene?
Yeah, because I don't even know how it can make sense because you don't even fight Sephiroth.
Yeah, well, there's nothing really. It's just like it's still kind of, I make fun of the first one where you literally just, okay, well, let's go ahead and leave Midgard.
Right.
It's basically that same thing, except they put some dialogue to it. It's like, okay, well, we're out here now. Who knows what's going to happen now? Let's go. But like, the weirdest thing to me is the fact that they're throwing Zack in already. That's pretty late in the game in the original.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty late before you see him, and it's very late before any of it is explained and makes sense.
So that actually happens like very, very towards the end of disc 2, like the whole Medela area.
Right. Yeah.
So what I really like about that is that it's enticing. It's like, who is Zack? What is he doing? Why is he carrying the sword that Cloud uses? What is going on there?
And wearing his clothes, except he's got 2 shoulder pads instead of 1. Yeah, I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yep.
So the explanation for that is actually, I don't know how much is going to be covered in the subsequent games for this, but that's actually covered in the PSP game
The
came
Crisis
out.
Core.
Yeah, it's Crisis Core. I couldn't remember the name of it.
Okay.
That was actually the whole, like, the ending
you
of
are
Crisis
Zack
Core
in
is that.
game.
Yeah.
Oh, is it really? Okay. So I
Yeah.
need to
So
go
basically,
back
so it fills in the gaps of, like, why does Cloud, like, have these, like, weird things where he just, like, his mind goes kaputs for a few seconds at a time.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like there's a glitch in the Matrix or something is the only thing I
Right.
could explain it. But
And-
is that because there's two Clouds and he's seeing visions from
no.
Zack or something? Okay.
I feel like I need to like just look up all the cutscenes from Crisis Core or something. I don't even know. I know you're Zack in the game, but I don't really know anything about what is. I don't know what happens in it, but
It's basically Zack from Mount Nibel, what happens then,
okay.
through the beginning of Final Fantasy VII.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it, like, kind of, like, sets it up, like, Cloud in Final Fantasy VII. Cloud comes out and he's this unstoppable badass, right? That's what he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then you start getting into, like, why is his mind going and doing the stuff that he is, like, that through that, like, Crisis Core. I've never played it, but I've looked up the storyline, like, a couple of times because I've wanted to play that game so bad.
Yeah.
But I've just never had a PSP.
Yeah.
So
But-
Cloud has these visions and stuff in the original game too.
Yeah.
Ish.
Okay.
They're similar, but, like, there'll be, like, the easy way to explain it is, like, the screen goes ding.
Right. And
and-
like a text box will pop up, like he's hearing voices, but a lot of it. And this is so much more visual, and you see these like flashes of everything. And that one, it's like, yeah, the screen kind of like shakes, and like text will appear, and
Right.
like stuff like that. So
The whole, like, hallucinating Sephiroth thing, I don't remember that in the original. It's more of, like, it's more just voices and stuff like that. There's a couple of times where I think, like, he hallucinates Sephiroth, but it's, like, to lead him down a path or whatever. That doesn't really happen as much in this game, but, like, in the original, like, that doesn't happen that often.
yeah.
Okay.
At all. Like, I think it happened maybe once that I can remember.
See, I started wondering if, like, the visions of Sephiroth earlier in the game, I was like, well, now that I know this dude can just, like, teleport and appear anywhere, I was like, maybe those weren't visions. Maybe he was there, but Sean said no. He's pretty sure those were just visions.
I think they're supposed to be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then as the game goes on, as you get closer and closer to the end, that line gets kind of blurred. And I'm like, is he really there? Is this
Yeah.
another vision? And I don't know when. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't expect the deaths. I didn't expect, but I guess Biggs lives. In the original game, I guess Sean said Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse all die.
I think
We
one
don't-
of them actually falls off the tower. I don't remember which one.
Oh
It's
my god!
Wedge, except
Wedge
which he
does,
kind of
yeah.
did in this one too, but he lives.
But he survives.
But
Okay.
yeah.
He's like a bumble. He bounces.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if Jesse really is dead.
Well, they don't show her, so I'm
Yeah,
Yeah, I
assuming
feel
she's
like
dead.
she is because they showed us Biggs. I guess we're supposed to assume Wedge is dead. They never even. They're just like, yeah, Jesse's dead. They don't even
Yeah.
show her, barely even mention her again. But yeah, who knows?
I do like what they did. Like, they fleshed out her character actually, they fleshed out all three of them a lot more, which was
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, and the first one when they all die, it's like, oh, but
It's like, oh,
you didn't really have a
named
chance to
minion.
get too attached. Yeah, exactly. You didn't.
I mean, Kevin, you are aware that Biggs and Wedge is a reoccurring gag in all the Final Fantasy games, right?
Yeah, there's characters named Biggs and Wedge, and
No,
I
knew.
wouldn't say all of them, but almost all of them.
I heard somebody
So-
say, I think it was on GameScoop today, that they said it was just they understood it as a Star Wars reference.
That's where the names came from, but they show up in
I want to say going
pretty
back.
much all or almost all of the modern Final Fantasy games.
I want to say it goes back all the way to, like, Final Fantasy 3.
Really?
Okay.
Sid is in every single one of them.
Yeah.
Sid is like a pirate. I think he's the pirate ship guy in Final Fantasy 1 or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, but there's three characters that are in every single Final Fantasy game that, at least going forward, is Biggs, Wedge, and Sid.
I had
Yeah.
no idea about that. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So like in this game, spoiler alert, whatever, you play as Sid down the road.
Yeah, I think it's the only one where you play as him.
It
He's
is
awesome.
He
In
is
I can't wait.
seven?
I can't wait till we get.
He is my
7.
favorite character in this
Huh.
game. Like it is like bar none. He is like I use him almost every playthrough because he's hilarious.
I'm curious to see because
I want to see how they do it though.
Who's the Emmett? What's his name? The guy, like the drill sergeant guy from.
Arlie Emery.
Yeah, that guy from Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
That's how I hear Sid's voice in my head.
Yeah.
That's how anytime I read what he's saying, I'm picturing that dude saying it in my head. So I'm curious to see if that's how he ends up sounding in this game. But
I picture it more of like generic like Marine yelling, but yes, but yeah, like the picture I showed you guys of like my like 8-bit or my like iron-on figurines that I have. One of them is Sid. Obviously one of them's Red 13, but the other one's Sid.
Yeah.
So that's the party I usually pick, which is kind of infuriating when they wouldn't let you play as Red 13.
Yeah.
But I understand why they
I
did
kind
it.
of thought, I figured they wouldn't introduce him as like anything more than a cutscene in this game, because I'm like, you probably won't see him till the very end, so it wouldn't make sense for you to be able to play as him. But then it's like, well, you can't play as him, but he'll play with you, and I wasn't even expecting that. So I mean, that was cool.
Yeah, his backstory is actually really cool. I think he's got the best backstory out of all of them.
Yeah, he's got a cool story arc.
Lab rat dog.
Lab rat dog.
He just deadpans it.
Lab rat dog. Oh god. Okay, so Sean, so the whispers weren't in it. I know you guys want to talk about that. Tell me about, because I think I've covered all the big questions I had. What have you been hearing that people have been saying? What do you think's going on in this game? All that fun stuff.
So I think a lot of it makes sense. A lot of it is also a little bit out there and may just be crazy like fan theories, but like it all seems plausible. Okay. But I got a bunch of notes here. But so first of all, I mean, this is part of the theory, but it's also like, I don't know. Well, I'll get into that later. The whispers.
Keep talking.
They talk the arbiters of fate or whatever, and they're trying to make sure that the original course of destiny is not altered or whatever. What I keep hearing is they're talking about the original game. And what that means is with them now dead, nothing from the original is guaranteed to happen anymore.
Holy crap.
To include Aerith.
No
now,
way.
I don't know.
Oh, they did go. Did they go away when we beat the Bahama Mama, whatever it was?
Bahamut. But so yeah, they went away right before you fought Sephiroth.
Oh yeah, okay.
But yeah, that's exactly what I heard too, Sean. But I highly doubt that they're not going to have the Aerith thing in there.
So I feel like it's probably just because everybody already knows, or at least thinks it's going to happen. I feel like it may just be them kind of teasing it almost, or trying to give us a reason to think it may not happen. I do still think it will, but I don't know. But so for example, so Barrett, obviously he doesn't die in the original. Nope. And so it's like he dies in this one, and then they're like, they bring him back to life because
holy
that wasn't
crap
supposed to happen. When you meet
Aerith, that's so freaking cool.
When you meet Aerith in the church and she falls from one of the things, they catch her and pick her back up. So they're like, no, you don't die yet. What is this? So I think the game just in general is like,
oh my god. So and then when Cloud, wait a minute, so Cloud was going into that room.
See, I'm trying to think of other times where.
Well, there was that time Cloud was going to go into a room when that's when I texted you and I was like, oh my god, when he saw like the bodies in the chambers or something, and then they grabbed him and pushed him out. So are they saying, no, you can't know where you come from this early in the original game?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, that might be true.
Huh. And
then the other thing, cool. This just popped into my head. I don't have this in my notes, but I'm trying to think of what else the whispers do in the game.
Yeah.
But like I said, Wedge dies in the original.
Mhm.
and
Yep.
he lived, at least for the time being, in this one. And then it's almost like the Whispers killed him, because they're like, no, you're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to be dead. So I mean, you could tie it to that too. But the game,
So
I think, is like very
Meta.
meta. Yeah.
yeah. So
And
actually, Sean, the biggest case of the Whispers thing was when you fought them outside of Seventh Heaven.
Yeah.
And if you remember in the original, so what did they line up for this game to go into the second bombing run, right? Who was going to go? Basically everybody but Cloud,
Right.
right?
uh,
Remember the original game?
yeah.
It was everybody went.
Yeah.
Everybody would so like
Okay,
that's the first
yeah.
thing that I noticed. That was like, wait a minute, this is almost like they're making it seem more like the original.
Right.
And then I didn't think anything of it until like the Barrett thing happened.
Yeah.
And then like every time I thought about like the major issues with the Whispers were like,
But yeah, when they kept talking about how they're there to make sure that destiny is not changed or whatever, I'm like,
Right,
okay, I get
right.
it. But now I'm like, oh my God, they're talking about destiny as in what happened
As
in the
in Final
original and what
Fantasy VII.
should happen. But now they're gone, so who knows?
Right.
So a lot of people are saying you can almost think of this, and who knows where they'll go from here. But this is, even though it's in the name, it's almost more of a sequel than a remake, if they really do go off the rails and start changing other stuff. So they're saying a lot of it talks about how Aerith and Sephiroth only know what happens or what's supposed to happen or whatever.
Which makes sense given the backstory of the two of them.
Right. And so they talk about, like you mentioned earlier, when you're fighting Sephiroth and he says you have 7 seconds.
Mhm.
So this is a bit of a stretch. And I checked earlier, and
Is that how long it takes your ATB to fill up in the first game?
No.
Okay.
So supposedly when Aerith dies in the original,
Mhm.
Sephiroth is on screen for exactly 7 seconds. And so people are saying, like, that's like, hey, you're going to have 7 seconds. What are you going to do? And so that people are saying, like, maybe Aerith won't die. Maybe you have a chance to save her or something. I think that's a bit of a stretch because he's like on camera and then he's not. If you count, I started counting when I first saw him to when he disappears, and it was way longer than 7 seconds. But there are times where he's not on the screen. So maybe I was supposed to stop counting and start counting again. I don't know. That's a bit of a stretch to me.
So how long does Omnislash's animation take?
Probably like 20 seconds. I bet it's longer than 7 seconds. But
I mean, that was the first thing that popped into my head because like that is like
that's how
essentially the final.
Finishes him off.
Yeah, right. Even if you don't have the ability, that's how you kill
him. There's a part where I think it's maybe right when you get to the edge of creation or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Sephiroth says to Cloud, "Let us defy destiny together." When he's about to be defeated by Cloud, and he says, "Not yet," because he's not supposed to die yet. So what they're trying to say, again, I think it could be true. I think this is a bit of a stretch, but they're saying it's the same Sephiroth from the original, which of course it is. It's a remake, but that it's starting to get a little ridiculous, but saying that his consciousness has gone from like the original to the remake. And so he knows what happens in the original. So I really didn't know this at the time. I wasn't just playing dumb, but they talk about that thing that you texted me from Twitter when you were like, did they just spoil something? It was one of the IGN guys, I think, about the flower.
Yeah, it was Justin Davis. He said, yeah, go ahead. And I think I still got the screenshot.
So when she gives Cloud the flower, she says, these are typically given when lovers reunite. Now Cloud's like, who are you? Like, what is this? But in her mind, if she's already been through the events of the original or whatever, to her, she is reuniting with Cloud. So that could make sense.
Yeah, he just tweeted, and then the mind blown emoji, and then he said hashtag Aerith knows.
Right. So maybe I'm guessing that's what he's talking about. The other thing, I didn't realize that when it happened, I'm like, wait, what? And then I didn't really think too much of it. But when the plate is about to come down, Tifa asks Aerith to go get Marlene.
Mm-hmm.
And she says,
Right.
Aerith, I need you to do me a favor. Can you? And then Aerith is like, go get Marlene. And Tifa's like,
Yeah.
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 And at the time, I'm like,
Ah.
how does she even know Marlene? Like, she barely knows Tifa. How would she know Marlene? And they talk about that in this video. It's like, she has no reason to know who Marlene is, except because she knows she's been through all this before. So, and then there's this part, and they call it an optional scene. I know I saw it. I don't know what's optional about it, but the part where Aerith says to Cloud, don't fall in love with me, or you can't fall in love with me.
I didn't
She's
see
basically
that.
saying, oh, you didn't?
I don't
feel
think
like it was,
Did I remember?
I want to say it was around it was somewhere over near Aerith's house. Maybe it's when
she's
you have to go out and find her and she's like in the I don't know, but I
She's
saw
sitting
this
in the
part. But
flowers
yeah,
or
they said it
something,
was
yeah.
optional, so maybe it is if you guys didn't see it. But she says, I think she says, you can't fall in love with me, which would make sense because she's like, I'm gonna die, like don't fall in love with me kind of thing. So there's all these things. They also talk about how, I don't know if they mean this literally, but they say that Aerith was not supposed to die in the original, and that was like a very last minute thing. There's apparently some like official Square Enix artwork from Final Fantasy VII, not like taken from the game, but obviously inspired by exactly what happens in the game, where you see Aerith looking at the High Wind, the airship, and she's already gone by the time you get the airship. There's also a part, I think it's literally right before you go fight Sephiroth, like you go to the next screen and you fight him, and all of your party, all the characters are there, and you can talk to them and have conversations with them. There's this one part where there's nobody standing there, but you can go over there and hit X and a text box pops up, and it's almost like that was Aerith. Like she's supposed to be standing there, and they forgot to remove that from the cut, or from the final cut of the game or whatever. And so they're like, Aerith wasn't even supposed to die in the original one. They ended up putting that into the game really late and forgot to correct it some of the other places. I don't think I wrote it down, but she talks about, there's one point where she says to Cloud, like, you and I together, we can make this all right, or something like that. And people are saying, like this is supposed to be more or less the true ending now. They screwed up the first one. They never should have killed her off. They're going to get it right this time. So I don't know. I mean, it makes sense. Like I said, like pretty much everybody knows what happens or what is supposed to happen, what may happen, what happened, whatever. And they go so far as to show, like, here's glimpses of it. Like, this is what it's going to look like. Like, ooh, people who know, they know what this means kind of thing. And they're showing it. They're almost, and now I'm drinking the Kool-Aid too, but it's like, they're almost like, yeah, get ready for this because this is coming. And maybe it's all just to swerve us. I mean, maybe I'm just like fantasy booking it and thinking how cool it would be if they did switch that up in this one. But I think it's also just going to make it that much worse if, for when it does happen. The other thing that could happen, which would it be probably not as bad, but still terrible, is if they switch it up. Maybe Aerith doesn't die. Maybe Tifa does. Like who knows? To me, everything's up in the air now. I think everything's on the table. And there's almost some weird part of me, I think just because, I don't know, maybe I'm just a sick individual. I would almost kind of be disappointed if she didn't die. Like, I feel like that's the scene of this game. Like, that's what everybody knows about it. And if it's not like they'll just completely omit it, like it's going to be there, and maybe something happens right at the last second,
blocks the sword away, like
right. Yeah. So it'll still be a cool scene, even if she doesn't die. But like, I don't know. I mean, it's not like I want her to die, but like that, her dying is Final Fantasy VII to me. So
yeah, it's almost like a turning switch, a switch turning in the game, like
right.
Because like, I mean, even in this game, like Aerith's healing abilities are ridiculous. Like, I actually figured this out playing around with it in this game. Is like one of her spells is greater than anyone else's version of the next level healing spell. So
Really?
like her cure is
cure is stronger than other people's
than Cloud's cura. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, and stuff like that. So it's like even in the original game it was like that. Like her healing was just like once you got Aerith, it was, or Aeris in that game, like you just, okay, here, heal me, and like she would just be like the one that heals you all the time, and it was great.
Right.
But I can't imagine like I knew what was going to happen going into that, and I still used her anyways. But it was like I can't imagine people that like didn't know that, because the game came out what, 99 was it?
97.
96, 7. Okay,
97, I think. Yeah.
So 97, before the internet was huge, right?
Yeah.
So like that word didn't get around very much. The only reason I knew was because a buddy of mine who convinced me to start playing the game told me.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, be careful, don't depend on Aerith.
Right. Don't waste too much time developing her, because she's not going to be around at the end.
So I did just look up that cutscene. I was just skipping around it. I did miss that. What I was thinking of is when you go out at night one time before Aerith gets taken away and you talk to her. But when this cutscene happens is when she's been taken by Shinra, and somehow
it's just like
a ghost Yoda kind of thing.
That's right. Yeah, it's that part.
Yeah, I did not see that. So now I need to go actually watch that with the sound on, because I had no idea. But yeah, she says you can't fall in love with me no matter what. It's I can't remember exactly what she said. I was just skipping around, but yeah, I completely missed that in the original game.
So I don't know. I mean, I just think it's so, like, I'm all that much more looking forward to the next part and the rest of the parts now, because as much as I've been wanting a remake of this game, it's also cool because now I'm fully like, I don't know what to expect. I no longer just expect what happened before. And I think they're trying to, they didn't have to do all the whisper stuff, and they changed some other things that are totally separate from the whispers, but it's like they put the whispers in there and killed them off
specifically for a reason.
It has to be for a reason. So I don't know that, and they may be doing it just to give us hope that Aerith won't die, and she still will.
Yeah,
or maybe they actually have some plans and they're like, no, everything you thought was going to happen, don't count on it. Like, most of it probably will, but I don't know. I can't wait.
The funny thing, do you know, I know I do this all the time, but this, just hearing all this is the most I've been interested in like video game theories and stuff since the lead up to Metal Gear Solid 5, when everybody was like, is he Big Boss? Is he not Big Boss? Well, he's Gray Fox. He's this. It's, he's Ishmael is a vision. Like, once this game, because it's only been out for what, a week and a half, 2, what the hell days? I don't even know.
3 weeks, I believe.
Yeah. Once it's a month or so away where everybody,
I think this is the third Friday.
Okay. Where everybody like feels safe to talk about this game. I think YouTube and the speculation, and people are going to go back and they're going to play it again. They're going to analyze every cutscene. And now hearing all this about the whispers and stuff, I'm like, I'm down. I need some Final Fantasy VII, like good YouTube accounts to follow and just nerd out about this stuff, because that's crazy.
Well, so the other thing, I won't get too far into it because spoilers, but they talk a little bit about the end there with Zach.
Mm-hmm.
And how they're talking about how there may be like multiple timelines going on like concurrently, because here's Cloud, but then there's Cloud, and here's Zach, and why is he here now, and all this stuff. And they make it a point, again, this maybe is a bit of a stretch, but they show that, I can't remember, it was like I don't know, some kind of like propaganda, or I don't know what it was, just a piece of trash that like flies by the camera and then goes, and it's Stamp the dog.
Yeah. Yep.
But on that one, Stamp is like a different dog. It looks totally different from all of the other ones. So they're talking about how, and that's right when you see Zach. So it's like, is that from like an alternate timeline? Like, why does Stamp look so different here? It's like a totally different dog. So I really have no idea where they're going to go with it.
But also,
so excited for it. If
you're saying how like Aerith and Sephiroth know what happened, I wonder if that does kind of make sense then, because at the end, Aerith sees Zach carrying Cloud, right? Doesn't she turn and look like, oh man?
I wondered about that. I don't know if that's her seeing it, or if she just happens, if they just kind of, I don't know. I
or
wondered
she
about
like
that.
senses something's there and she just turns and looks at it and doesn't actually see it.
Right,
Who
yeah.
knows?
Oh, the other thing, I keep thinking of all these things. I can't remember when it is. It's probably right before that cutscene, or maybe it's the beginning of that cutscene. Aerith says something along the lines of like, I don't know what's out there. Everything after this is just a complete unknown or whatever. And this guy was saying that could just be kind of like a wink from Square Enix saying like, look, we made this remake. We don't even know what's going to happen after
Right.
this. But the more literal version of that is Aerith basically saying like, I know what's supposed to happen, but we just killed these whispers, the arbiters of fate. I no longer know what's going to happen. So I can't really help you much anymore. Like I knew what was going to happen, but now that we've done that, it's all an unknown now. So I don't know. I can't wait. I'm so excited for it. I mean, it's going to be a long time, I think, but
yeah. So I hope it's not another 20 years. But
I'm hoping we get the next part in 2022.
Yeah, I was going to say 2 years
Probably
is my
be
hope.
23, but
Yeah.
I would be fine with 22.
So,
but I also don't know, like, now that I'm playing through the original again, like Jayson, you and I talked about this. I don't think this is going to be 3 parts. I think it's
4. I think it's 4.
Like, there's so much. I figured the second one was going to end with Aerith dying, but
it could,
still
but
has
there's
to happen
so
before
much.
that point. And there's a lot that happens after it, honestly. Like,
yeah, I had to look up the storyline because I'm like, I started thinking about like, okay, so you go here, then you go here, then where do you go? And like, I had to look it all up and went, oh, wow.
The one thing is you jump around a lot. Like you're obviously in Midgar a lot in the beginning, but then you jump around from town. You go from like Calm to Cosmo Canyon to Corel and all these places. And
the Golden Saucer, back to Corel, back
mode.
Yeah.
And so I know exactly where to go, and I'm playing on fast mode on top of it. So I'm just zip zapping around the whole map. Like, but like, it's not like every town you go to is Midgar. A lot of the towns are like a few houses, and you talk to people, and then you move on. So
it's like going to Clayton versus going to New York City kind of deal.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, they could, if they add as much to the next part of this game as they did to Midgar, this thing's going to be 10 parts long. So I don't know. I think from here on out, at least the next part, who knows what they do with like the very end of the game. But I think this next chapter, whatever you want to call it, is going to be more in line with the original, I think. But even
I would
if
hope
it is,
so.
I still think it's got to be 4 parts and not 3.
So, like, I think that the whole point of them expanding upon Midgard the way they did is because when you think about it, there's not much to do in Midgard in the original game. Like, there's literally like the 4 or 5 hours at the beginning. Like,
so there's 8 sectors. There's the top and the bottom of each of them, and you're only really free to walk around 5 and 7, and then
I think
Market, which I don't know if that's part of like 6, but like
it's I believe part of 6. But
and there's not much to 5 and 7 as it is, so you don't see 1, 2, 3, 4, or 8. You don't see any of it. I mean, you see some of the top part, but like you're never just wandering around up there. Like everything's down in the slump. So yeah, I mean, even in the original, or in the remake, you don't see a fraction of Midgar, but at least you get the sense of how big it is.
Right, and I mean, for the amount of time that you spend in it in the original versus the size of it is disproportionate. Like Midgar is a huge city comparatively to like you spend more time in Cosmo Canyon than you do in Midgar at some points.
Yeah.
You definitely spend more time in, like the Temple of the Ancients and stuff like that. But like I really think that the Aerith's like issue or like what's going to happen with her is going to be either middle of middle of episode 3, or they're going to squish everything they can into 2 and then have that cut off there. Because like once that happens, then there's a whole other thing that like the whole issue with Cloud, like you don't even find out about what's going on in his head until after Aerith dies.
I still think she has to die I don't think they literally end the game with that, but I feel like that's going to be more or less the end. And if that doesn't happen until, like, I don't think it's going to happen in the middle of one of these chapters, whatever episodes.
Yeah.
I think it's the end. But if it's not until 3, I think
then this is like a 5-disc game.
parts. Yeah, it almost has to happen in 2 in order to keep this manageable.
Well, see, like I think you were saying on the podcast last time that, like, obviously they quintupled or sextupled what Midgar is, but the next phase of the game going up to when she dies, isn't it maybe like 10-15 hours, something like that, to where they could just kind of expand it but not go crazy,
so
put all that into part 2 and then go
right. So playing through the original, I was literally out of Midgar in 3 hours. Now it tracks you real time, and I was playing on triple speed for most of it and know for the most part exactly where to go. So even if I wasn't playing on triple speed, it would have taken me like
hours.
7 or 8 hours. But
it's like a fifth of the game at best.
Probably, yeah, because it's probably about half of the first disc. Like disc 3 is almost just the end of the game. Like when you finally go to disc 3, aren't you going to the cave of wonders, whatever it's called, the cave of
ancients,
something like that. Like
cavern,
I think it's basically the end of the game. So the
game is
mostly on 2 discs, if I remember correctly.
I want to say, because I think what happens is that the end of disc 2 is like you're set up to go, like you've resolved all the other storylines. Now you're going to go kill.
And Midgar is about half of the first disc.
Right,
so
but
if you extrapolate that out, this is going to be a 5-part game.
But that's why I think they just do this next. And again, I'm talking out of my tuchus. I haven't played this part of the game, but I just wonder if they just take, because Midgar is such just an iconic.
Well, yeah, I'm wondering if they like
and everything.
We nailed this game and it is perfect. However, we did a disservice to Midgar by not exploring it more. So let's expand on that, and then maybe from here on out, it's more comparable to the original. I don't know. But.
One question I want to ask before I forget this. I've heard some people say it's a good thing. Some people say it's a bad thing. I like it that this game was very linear. And that's, I like an open world game here and there. I mean, I love Breath of the Wild. I love GTA, etc. God of War was really more open-ish. But I like that this was pretty linear. But I guess there's some people that are upset, not just because it's Final Fantasy VII, but just Final Fantasy fans in general.
It's no more linear than the original at this part. Now, once you're out of Midgar, it opens up.
Okay.
I mean, but even then, you have the linear world map, but like there's different continents. You can't cross an ocean yet. You don't have an airship. You can't get access to this boat that you can take across. So you're stuck here. And even then, there's a swamp, and you can't cross the swamp because there's a dragon living in it, and it's going to eat you. And then you can get across over here, but then you can't get down here yet because of this. So you're in the world map, but it just gradually opens more and more throughout the game. But Midgar, I don't think this was any more linear than the original one.
Okay.
I want to say
this, for that part of the game.
I actually want to say it's less so than the original because you have all the side quests now. Like in the original, you didn't have all those side quests that you can do. Like in this one, you have like essentially 5-6 hours of side quests you can do.
Right.
The original, I don't even remember if there was any.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, nothing.
I think.
Yeah.
Maybe you find the numbered guys later.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a whole lot. No, I mean, nothing that I would call a side quest.
I mean,
there
other
may
than
be
maybe
things where it's like, ooh, if you go back to this area later on, you can find a materia, like that kind of stuff, but not like, hey, do me a favor, go kill this thing, nothing like that.
Right. I don't remember any of that in the first part of it.
Right. Yeah, there's optional stuff, but nothing I would call a side quest.
Yeah. I mean, they basically just expanded upon it and just opened up Midgar a lot. Like, you're talking about Johnny on your last episode of the podcast, right?
Yeah.
You know what's funny, Sean? I ran into him by accident after I went to Medial.
Really?
He's in Costa del Sol.
And
I'm just like walking around like, who? This guy looks like, let me talk to him. Johnny. Oh, so so there's a lot more that they expand upon. Like, I wouldn't have even remembered him.
I don't even know why he's in the game. Like,
Comedic relief. I don't know.
I guess, but like, I literally did not know he was in the original, and then I saw him in Midgar on this playthrough. I'm like, oh, that kind of looks like, oh, that is Johnny. But yeah, I just never realized he was even in it.
And he's played by Yuri Lowenthal. He's played by Spider-Man.
He's Spider-Man.
And did you see my tweet also, Sean, about, I was like, I know President Shinra sounds so familiar.
Oh, yeah.
I paused and
Skullface.
looked it up, and it's James Horan who plays Skullface in Metal Gear Solid 5. I was like, yes, I know I do. Like, he's just doing Skullface's voice. That's why I was like,
Yeah.
I know this voice. Like, I couldn't place it as Skullface because I'm not looking at a guy with a burned face and a mask. But as soon as I looked that up, all I heard the rest of the game whenever he's talking was Skullface. I was just like, this is so freaking weird.
Yeah.
So Sean, what did you think of Rude and Rufus, or not Rude and Rufus, the other Turk there? I can't remember his name off the
The guy with the red hair.
Yeah.
Reno.
That's yeah.
Were they in the game?
Oh
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they're
I
they're
love what
spot
they
on.
do.
They look exactly. They look like they should. They act like they should. They talk like they should. I think they're perfect.
I thought Rude especially was spot on. Like,
yeah.
He's the guy with the glasses.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was like there's a mild spoiler, but like later on in the game, like they're like you visit Mutai, right? And Rude is just kind of relaxing there, and like they're like, oh, we found the guys, and he's just like, and goes off and fights it, and it's just like I think they nailed his character a lot better, or
So-
not a lot better, but they nailed his character
Yeah.
so well.
Well, so one cool thing they did in the original, I think it's just kind of a throwaway. Like, you could totally miss the dialogue if you don't talk to the right person, but they hint at, or really, well, I mean, they don't hint at it. They come right out and say that he's got a crush on Tifa. And there's
Yeah.
a part when you're climbing the tower before they drop the plate, when Reno's got her in his sights, and then Rude
And he moves the helicopter.
moves the helicopter, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, my hand slipped," and it's because he's got a thing for Tifa. He didn't want Reno to shoot her, so I thought that was cool that they put that in the game.
Huh.
I want to say like everybody had a thing for Tifa when I played the game originally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially now, like I said, it just seems like whoever, I can't remember who's directing this, but it just seems like they went to the Kojima school of framing shots of women.
That's Japanese culture,
Yeah.
Japanese video game culture at least. Like, I can't think of was it Dead or Alive?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
That was
god, yeah.
That was what, Capcom?
That
I
was
think it was.
No,
Wasn't that
Dead or Alive is, oh god. Who does Tekken? It's the same company that does Tekken, and now any other time you could have asked me, I would have known it. Now I'm drawing a blank.
I mean, I thought it was a Japanese company.
It is
definitely.
I
sure
just
is.
can't remember which one it is. I thought it was Capcom. It wasn't Konami.
No. Now it's going to drive me nuts.
I'm
People that are
looking up.
listening to this are yelling in their car right now. We're probably not in their car because nobody can go
Tecmo.
anywhere. Tecmo, thank you.
Yeah, so like there a lot of Japanese video games are like that. But yeah, that was this game overall was so like it just like made me like, damn it, now I have to wait more for the rest of it.
Know.
I don't know. I'm hoping that they had something like queued up, like they had part 1 ready. Here's part 1, but part 2 was almost ready, so they're gonna get it out in like holiday
That's
of this
my
year.
one thing
But
I'm
I doubt it.
hoping is that this game maybe has been ready for a while, and there's so much beyond what we realize, and they've already got 2 and maybe parts of 3 almost done. That's the only thing I can hope for.
I mean,
Is
look,
that, like, because they can't obviously they're not going to take 20 years to come out with part 2, but like
they can't
ever
wait too
since
long
this
in the next
game
cycle
was
of the consoles either.
officially- Right.
Yeah.
Well, ever since this one was officially in development, and I don't know if anybody knows when that was. Was it E3 2017?
It was
18
20
when they
so
finally
it was
like,
20
showed it.
It was 2015 when they showed a cinematic for it and officially announced it, I think. But remember also this game was kind of in development hell because they Square Enix wasn't going to do it internally. They sent it out to CyberConnect, and then like 2 years into it, they said, this is not working. We're taking it back in-house, and they basically started from scratch. So if that timeline's right, then they did make it in 3 years, meaning hopefully they've already got the engine, they've got everything.
The engine,
like
they've got the character models, but I mean, you won't see
honest,
Midgar
though,
again. For like Midgar is gone now, so it's
till the end of the game at least.
Yeah, I don't know. It may be too. Maybe it'll be 2022. I don't know.
So like, I'm hoping that they do something like what they did with Final Fantasy 15, where it's like, okay, here's where the game comes out. Episode Gladiolus is like 6 months later, and then then the next two were like 3 or 4 months after that.
I'm still hoping that maybe somehow.
But hopefully, it's not as
it's
crappy as those were.
Every year, even every 2 years, I would be ecstatic.
I doubt that's going to happen, because here's the thing, PS5. Well, at least the new Xbox is coming out in November, right?
Yeah.
So is the PS5's same time frame, right?
Yep.
Supposedly.
Well,
Yeah.
as of today, yeah.
So do you really think that they're going to wait through they're going to like extend it that far into the next console cycle without redoing it again?
See, what I was thinking is, so this game is exclusive for 1 year to Sony. So nobody knows right now if that means it's going to come to Xbox or just PC next year. But
probably both, to be honest.
That's what I would assume. I mean, they're going to sell they'll sell at least 10 million copies of this thing. And
I'd be shocked if they didn't already.
My hope is it comes to Xbox next year. Probably you can play it on both. It'll have a Series X patch, something like that. And then the following year, we get it. So there's something Final Fantasy VII related next year because it's going to come out on Xbox. And then hopefully part 2 is the year after that. But I just don't know. Like, I don't know how much they have to rework to get it, because we got to assume it's going to be a PS5 game, not PS4. Maybe it'll come out on both. But I just wonder how much extra work goes into, like, how much do they want to pretty it up for part 2?
That's the other thing. I mean, I hadn't really thought about that, but with probably all of them, I'm hoping the next one's like, I don't even want it to be out on PS4.
No, I don't either. If
it's a
PS5 only.
Exclusive, or at least, the next gen exclusive, they could probably put a lot more, like, maybe they can do the rest of the game in just 2 more episodes. If it's now PS5, it's that much more you can put. Like,
that's true. So, yeah,
I don't know.
And the way they're talking about these consoles and how games will hopefully be smaller because the technology is getting so much better that I still don't really understand it. But then maybe they still use all 100 gigs on that disc, and it's just twice as much as we got in this game. I don't know. I don't need the next game to be 60 hours or anything like that. I think this game, like I said, I was just under 30 hours when I beat it. I love that length. It didn't feel too short. Again, like I said, it dragged in a couple of places, but overall I love the length of it. And I think if we get 3 30-hour Final Fantasy VII games adding up to a 90 to 100-hour game, I feel like that's awesome, except it's $180 instead of just $60.
That's part of my problem.
My money. I'm fine.
Yeah. Well, and I'm with you on that too, Sean. My biggest concern with it is that, like, the original game, you can beat it in 30 hours. I think I dumped 65 or 70 into it just about every time I played it, just because there's so much extra stuff to do. And, like, getting some of the ultimate weapons alone took like 10, 15 hours of gameplay. Yeah. Stuff like that. I mean, I think the 2 easiest ones to get were Cloud and Barrens. But
so Aeriths you get
early on
because you kind of have to.
Right.
You would. I think you just get Clouds when you fight Weapon, right?
Yeah, you do.
And then you fight somebody named Weapon.
It's a. Yeah. It's not an option.
It's a mandatory boss, but
okay.
So there's, like, later on in the game, there's these things that come out. They're called weapons, right? There's 5 or 6 of them. I forget what they're. But
okay.
Emerald, Ruby, or like the 2.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
But there's one that's just called Weapon.
Okay.
Right, and then there's a couple other ones.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Because we've talked about this a little bit on the pod, Jayson. But what do you think? How did they? I don't know how they make this work with part 2. Like, do they let you carry over your saves? Is there like enemy scaling, or do we just say everybody starts back at level 6 or 7 or something? Because you don't want to be too overpowered. I wouldn't be so worried about bringing my level over, but if you can just bring your materia and the weapons have.
I think
they're starting over. I think they're starting over.
You may be able to carry your level over.
But not the materia.
I don't think they're going to let you start part 2 and carry on through parts 3, 4, 5, however there may be, and already have
Firaga.
maxed out Firaga and Thundaga and Blizzaga. Like,
and 40 mega potions.
Game, you don't get those maxed out.
Those are final end
until
spells.
At the end of the game. So I don't know that it would make sense to have those already going forward. So they may just say your materia is gone, but we'll call you level 35. But even then, it's like, how do you? I guess you have different ways of scaling the enemies. But then at that point, what's the point? If I'm no better off starting the game at level 35 as if I just started it at level 7 or whatever they do. What was all this for? What was the point of it? So I don't know. The more I think about it, you'll probably just start over.
Yeah, what I would like them to do is start over at lower levels with all the material you have, reset back to base. Right. So you start off with like all the material you have, but they're like you get cure and fire and whatever. That's what I think would be probably the best, because then you're starting at like level 35, or because you can actually get up to level 50 in this game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's untenable for them to have I think it's actually still going to be like a 4-part game. Right. So like, what are you going to be, level 200 at the end of the game?
Right.
No. Right. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think they're more likely to say like, okay, so maybe the last 2 parts are additive levels, or maybe it's next part you start at level 5 for everything, with just like all the base materia or whatever.
Plus, I mean, I understand it's a video game and you can't take it too seriously, but
people do take that shit seriously, though.
Well, yeah, but like this game is fairly, I mean, there's magic, there's all sorts of stuff going on, but it's like it looks realistic, so people thinking of it as being realistic, and it just throws that all out the window. Not that this would keep them from doing it, but I walk out of Midgar and I got all these weapons and all these materia, and then now you start the next game and you're picking up right where you left off, but all of a sudden all that stuff is gone. I don't have those weapons anymore. I don't have that materia anymore. Like, it just doesn't. It's a video game, I get it, but just logically, it doesn't even make sense. Like, I don't know, unless they throw something into the game to somehow write all that stuff out of it and say, oh, you got jumped by the Turks and they took all your crap and that's why you had to start over. Like, maybe they do something like that, but I don't know. I don't know how. It just doesn't seem like there's a good system in place to allow you to carry over what you had while also allowing people that maybe are just starting on part 2 and skipped part 1 to have the same experience. I just don't know how you pull that off.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can relate it to is like how World of Warcraft's worked over the years, because, World of Warcraft's they're on their 5th expansion right now. And
they're still coming out with stuff for that game?
Yeah, there's another expansion coming out in the end of the year.
Good Lord.
So what they've been doing over the years is like basically you just increase in level, but all the equipment you get is basically you've been spending so many times at like level 60 trying to grind for all this gear. The first piece of quest gear you get is better than what you spent 70 hours like grinding out, right? Yeah. And that scaled all the way up to like from level 60 to 120. And now with the next expansion, what they're doing, well, let's step back for a second. So over the last couple of expansions, they've done stat squishes where like, they've just squished down like the stats, instead of being like this big, are now like here.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So now in the next expansion, they're actually squishing it down from like, I forget if they're going from down to 60 or going down to level 70. They could do something along the lines of that. Is like, okay, so like you log it, your Curaga or whatever doesn't heal for much now, but you get this new Restore V2 materia that's better. They could do something along those lines, which I wouldn't be terribly opposed to, but I think that's actually how Final Fantasy 14, the MMO, works too.
Okay.
So like when the expansions come out, like the first piece of gear or first piece of thing you get is that much better.
Right.
So that's the way that it could, like, hey, you got, Kiraga, you're gonna have like Kiraga V2 or something like that.
I don't know. I mean, I guess in the end, that's the least of my concerns. I just want a good game. If I can't start with everything I had, whatever, it'll be fine.
I did like how, and I guess it was like this in the original too. I just like that Cloud starts at, and everybody starts at level 7. So it's just kind of cool that it's like everybody's not just this rookie. Like it shows that they have experience doing what they're doing. I just thought that was a cool little touch. But
I'm not sure that that's entirely what it was intended to do originally.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say what was happening originally is like all of the monsters have levels. You just don't know what they are.
Okay.
So, like a level 1 monster is something you could smash upside the head really easily at level 7.
Yeah.
So, I think that's why they did it. But it does actually show, like, it does show that too. Is like, Cloud starting off from the get-go is a badass. Like, that's just his deal.
Right.
But sometimes it's untenable. Like, I don't know of any Final Fantasy game off the top of my head that starts level 1 other than the originals.
Okay.
I think even Final Fantasy VIII starts at like level 5 or 6. Well, Final Fantasy X doesn't have levels really.
Yeah,
there's a big wedge and Sid in that game too.
That's so funny. No, I had no idea about that.
There's a bunch of different Final Fantasy like things that's in every game, like Ultimate Weapon. The main character's best weapon in the game is always called Ultimate Weapon or Ultimate Weapon. It's a variation of that. I believe even Titus's was called that, wasn't it?
Titus's was the Kalidbolg or whatever.
Oh, right. 10 was
but you had
special.
But they had weapons. There was optional. There's like Omega Weapon.
Oh, yep.
So there's bosses named Weapon, but
yeah, there's usually an ultimate weapon in the game of some way, shape, or form.
But Kamari's ultimate weapon is the same name as Sid's ultimate weapon in 7. The what was it called?
I don't remember
what it's called now, but I just got it too. I can't remember, but yeah, they reuse a lot of stuff. A lot of the summons are usually the same in the games, and
Ifrit's in every game that has a summon,
and Shiva, and
Shiva's
Bahamut's in pretty much all of them.
But yeah, there's a lot of reoccurring Final Fantasy themes.
Chocobos,
right?
Every game has a chocobo.
Yeah,
even Final Fantasy Adventures of Mana had chocobos in it. And I assume I don't know that Secret does, but I wonder if they probably don't, because that game actually, before it was Adventures of Mana, it was Final Fantasy Adventure.
Final Fantasy, yeah.
And then the others, they were just called Second and Detsu or something like that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there anything else spoilerific that we didn't talk through? I think I went through all my notes, other than just being like, I just don't understand Sephiroth. I guess he's Sephiroth. Oh, that was the other thing I didn't say about the final fight, is when you're fighting him and then he got to, I don't know if it was the second phase or the third phase, but again, I stopped, I paused it, and I texted Sean, and he got the one wing, and I was like, oh my God, Sean, he's got one wing. This is so freaking cool. Like, I just couldn't, and even me just being tangential, that's one of the hardest words to say. Tangentially, thank you.
Hey, who's the guy in Death Stranding?
Guillermo. Oh God, now I can't do it. Guillermo.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
Oh, Guillermo.
You need to go play that damn game, Sean.
I know. It's just,
I still haven't played it either.
It's awesome. It was my game of the year. Probably should have been RE2, but I was in the heat of the moment. But yeah, it was so cool. And again, when One Winged Angel came on, it was like, ding, ding, ding. I was just like, oh, this is so cool.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, but the only time that song gets played is at the final boss fight in the original.
Yeah. Other than that, there's like just
I think there's like the interlude, or like there's a section of it that keeps getting played over and over.
Usually before that, whenever you see Sephiroth, it's just that boom. Oh.
Yeah.
Like that kind of music. But yeah, you don't hear the I think until you fight him finally.
Yeah.
I'm just
But
trying to.
It's so iconic.
I want them to put the remake soundtrack on like Amazon Music and everything, and it's still not there. They've got the original Final Fantasy VII on there, but they don't have the remake yet.
Yeah.
But I did go back and listen to a lot of that after I beat the game too. Even, I mean, the music that I know, but yeah, they don't have it on there yet. Well, crap.
Yeah, actually, one of my favorite things about this game was the fact that they didn't have like battle music at like the dun da 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 like at the end of
Barrett
except for Barrett did it. Like it was so
freaking cool.
I was like, the first time I heard him, like, did I just hear that right? And like then again, like, yes, I did. That is awesome.
And he does it in his Barrett voice. I was just like, oh my god, this is awesome! I can't believe he's doing that.
Yeah, like this game, like it hit all the right notes. I'm not like I really wanted it to be just a straight remake of like here, go through the story. I love the story, go through it.
Yeah.
But they didn't. Well, they did, but they didn't, right?
Yeah.
And I love what they did overall. I did not like some of the battle system parts of it, which we covered earlier. There's also one other thing I didn't like, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
See, I usually go back and forth between if my favorite game of all time is Link to the Past or Ocarina. Final Fantasy VII is like right there, the original. But the actual gameplay leaves a bit to be desired. But I do think, Kevin, you'll probably disagree with me. I think Final Fantasy VII is the best story from a video game ever. I just think it's such a cool story. It's not, other than all the cloud stuff,
which is still
it's
good.
not like
it's just
overly complicated. It's just you got this Sephiroth, and he's trying to just like take over the world. It's like it's been done, but the way he's going about it, I just think it's not overly complicated. It makes sense in the universe. It's just like, yeah, he wants to do this, so he can do this, and I think it's just awesome. And then there's all the social commentary stuff of like Shinra and like wanting to take over the world and like using this Mako energy. I think it's the best story from a video game ever. I don't know that it's my favorite video game of all time. It's easily top 5. It's probably number 3 at least, but it's my number 1 story of all time for easily.
It's funny you bring up the environmental activism thing that's happening.
Yeah.
I did not, like, the first couple of times I played through that game, I did not even pick up on it at all.
Yeah.
Like, and then like,
well, they play it up a lot more in this one.
Well, yeah, they
show
do.
You a lot of like, in the first one, it's just like, hey, good job, you blew it up. And this one's like, yeah, you blew it up, but you killed all these people. Like they make it a lot more, I don't know, subjective, I guess, as to like, are you really the good guys here?
Well, that was one of the things.
A cool touch.
Yeah, I liked walking around the slums
and hearing all the people talk.
Yeah,
like, is Avalanche good or are they bad?
Right.
Like, news at 11. Like,
Yep.
The other thing too is like I don't remember them expanding upon like in the first game. I believe Avalanche was just Barrett's group. I don't remember there being like this big overarching
there's not, like, big Avalanche. There's not
right.
Like
there's
Avalanche
no like HQ. Like,
yeah. Plus, like I don't think in the original. I know the mayor is kind of on your side. I don't think the mayor was Avalanche in the original. No, he's like anti-Shinra. He's like bullcrap what they've done to me. Like, I'll help you guys out. But I don't think he was secretly Avalanche in the original, was he?
No, I don't believe so. I think he was just like, screw these guys. They treat me like crap. I'm just a figurehead. I don't really have any power. Blah, blah, blah. Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
But like, oh, that was the other thing. Did you guys pay for the weapon? For Barrett?
Yes.
That was so stupid.
Wait, what?
So after you talk to the mayor,
yep,
and you go out and you talk to the one dude, the butler guy.
Yeah.
Like if you talk to him, he's like blah 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 blah. Here, pay me money and I'll give you a weapon for Barrett.
Yeah, I paid him. Why did you not have to?
No, you didn't have to.
Oh crap!
Oh,
But it's
like 10,000 gil or something.
yeah, I spent
crazy.
a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's actually a pretty good weapon for him, but it's like
yeah.
it's easily apparent. Like I was looking it up after the fact because I missed a couple of the weapons for the characters, and one of them, the one I missed, the big one I missed is the one you had to steal from the boss.
I only
For
got that
Aerith?
because Sean said, "Hey, when you get to this boss, do steal."
I missed that one for Aerith, and I missed one for Tifa that you can get when you first get into Shinra, the Shinra building, when you're like
Oh, I didn't get
jumping
one.
on the lights, when you're trying to get to the card in the desk.
Yeah,
And you're like doing the monkey bars thing.
Yeah.
There's one part where you can take an optional path and you get a weapon, but I missed
Yeah,
that one.
it's actually really good. It's her best
Purple something. It's called like purple something.
purple
I
something.
think. Yeah.
But it's her best weapon in the game.
Okay.
But it was like I saw the treasure chest that it was in, and I was just like, "How do you get over there?"
I didn't even see it. Although I'm like, I would have been like, I'm not leaving this area till I get to it. But yeah,
Right,
I didn't even see it.
Well, it's because like I spent like 5 minutes trying to figure out how do you get back up there, and I'm like, "Oh, by the way, there's a treasure chest over there. So how do I get over there?"
Yeah.
And it was just basically you had to stand on top of the climb up
The vehicles.
The vehicles,
and,
yeah.
Yeah.
the couple times you did have to do the monkey bars in this game, I will say I hated that. It just felt like it was the most like stilted. Like, no,
The controls were
wanna
weird.
go,
Like
yeah.
going left didn't go left sometimes, depending on
He's
where the
like, I'm
camera.
just
Right, and
gonna
like all of a
turn.
sudden it's this game where you can just go anywhere, and then all of a sudden you're like locked to this grid.
Yeah.
You can go forward like one square at a time. And it felt
that
a
was
little
annoying.
weird, but
There's shit, what was it? But yeah, I didn't actually steal the weapon for Aerith because I didn't have steel at the point. But
yeah,
I had
yeah.
whatever the sensibility is in this game, I forget what assess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I assessed him like, oh look, a weapon I could steal for Aerith.
I saw that. I was like, I don't have anybody with steel.
You
Yeah.
son of a.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not going back. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, eventually I might go back to that one. That whole sequence too was like, that whole sequence sucked.
That place is
So
hard.
bad. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever go back through that because it was just like, oh my god, I can't hit this with physical attacks. So
Yeah,
what do you want me to do?
Oh, was that in
yeah.
the graveyard where
train
you got it?
graveyard.
Train graveyard.
Okay.
And in the original, all that was like you're just like moving the trains around to try and get loot, basically.
Yeah, some of it was similar, but it was not haunted. Like there weren't ghosts everywhere. They call it a train graveyard, but it was just
Mhm.
It was just like
rundown
broken
trains. It
down
wasn't
trains.
haunted or anything.
Right. Okay.
And that guy that boss, it's like the carriage, like the horse carriage thing.
Yeah.
That's in Final Fantasy VII, but it's just like an enemy. It's not a boss. But I fought him. I'm like, I wonder. And sure enough, I like stole from him, and it was a weapon. It was a different weapon. I can't remember what it was, but you can steal a weapon for Aerith in the original too. I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. Even though I missed it in the remake.
Did you know? Did you notice that all of the weapons actually correlate back to the original game too? Like you remember the nail
I
bat?
recognized a lot of them. I remember the nail bat. Yeah.
Like they were all, like I went back and looked, and they're all in there.
Really?
Like you know the iron sword or whatever the first one you get is the first weapon you get from the. If you compare them, like yeah, they're the same thing.
Yeah, I remember Hard Edge, the one where it like goes
Yeah.
out at the tip. I remember that one. I remember a lot of Barrett's and Tifa's. Aerith I rarely used much in the original just because I didn't want to waste time on her. I'm like, I know how this ends. I'm not going to bother leveling her up. So I never really used her much, but yeah.
I mean, everyone's magic was a lot better in the original too because the materia gave you a lot more magic ability too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just hope that these come out quickly so that maybe they can remake Final Fantasy VIII. But
Yeah, I've missed out on that. I haven't played it.
it's a good story, but like some of the mechanics are horrible.
I don't like how you like have to draw the magic from enemies.
That's
I don't
the
like
one that
that whole
sucks.
system. It just seems weird, and it's turned me off from the entire game. I don't know. I know everybody says it's a great game and a pretty good story, but like what I know about how the gameplay works, I'm like, I just don't like it.
Yeah, once you get past the drawing, it's actually the junctioning system is actually really nice.
Yeah.
But the problem is, like, if you cast spells, your stats go down because you have the spells junction to your abilities. So, like, you have health junction to cure, for example, right? If you cast enough cures, your health will go down.
Oh.
It was kind. there's that to it. Like I really wish the way the drawing system would work is like, hey, I drew a cure. Now I can cast as many cures as I want based on MP. But like, you know,
I just like the gunblade. I just think that's awesome.
The gunblade is really cool. I saw somewhere. Oh, it was a YouTube video. It was like watching where somebody was like making D&D characters out of like one of them was like wielding a gunblade. I'm like, that's one of the most unique ideas I've ever heard of.
I mean, it doesn't really make sense, but it's just
cool. Yeah. Like when in Kingdom Hearts when Leon's using the gunblade, it's just that is so cool.
Yeah.
Have you played the second the expansion thing to Kingdom Hearts 3?
I haven't played Kevin's played more of Kingdom Hearts 3 than I have.
I played 5 hours and I was like, I can't do this.
Oh, you have?
I think it was just last year I bought the Kingdom Hearts, like the story so far, or whatever it's called. I played through 1 again. I loved it. I finally tried to play 2.
Oh, right, because I played through it and you didn't. Right?
Yeah, I never played 2. And so I started playing through it and I'm like, it just wasn't doing it for me. I don't know if I was just Kingdom Hearts out by that point, but like I'm like I feel like 1 is a better game, but I don't know. There's some part in 2. I feel like I had to start going back and revisiting worlds and doing stuff. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like I've already been here. I don't want to go back there. And then I just stopped playing and I never got back into it. But
yeah, okay. I actually beat it, and it was fun. But it was like one of the things that I hated about it. And I'm a huge Final Fantasy person, as you know. Yeah. They didn't have a single Final Fantasy character in the entire game of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Really?
They did not have a single one.
I mean, the whole thing is like it's Final Fantasy meets Disney, and all of a sudden it's like, no more Final Fantasy.
It's like all Disney characters and new ones.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's like the reason why I brought this up is one of my favorite cutscenes out of any Kingdom Hearts game is the cutscene in Kingdom Hearts 2, where Leon and Cloud are like back-to-back fighting things in like one area. It's a huge cutscene. And I'm just like, I love this.
That's awesome.
Like, it's just like, you can go, I think you can find it on YouTube. It's just like them back-to-back, and it's just like talking about who's going to kill more or something like that. And it's just like, those are 2 of my favorite characters in any video game ever. Yeah. So it was like my nerd was showing in that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's actually what, like, this made me want to go replay that game just to see that cutscene.
Yeah. Because
they actually, like, Cloud's character looks very similar to that.
Really?
Yeah. At least from what I can remember.
Yeah.
I was just going through YouTube and I searched Final Fantasy VII ending explained, like I just added like 5 or 6 videos to my watch later. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just tomorrow or Monday when I'm working, I'm just gonna go and I'm just gonna put this on and just nerd out with this.
Yeah. It's such a like weird thing. Like the whole, I love how they added Zack stuff to it because it's in a game that, like, don't get me wrong, Zack is in the original. He's I just played through the area where he's in it. But it's not like he's not a playable character or anything. It's just like he's there and he explains to you why Cloud is as messed up in the head.
He's got a pretty integral part to the story, but they don't introduce him until pretty late. So
right.
In the grand scheme of things, it makes sense that you should probably hear about him pretty early on, but it's just different. But honestly, it probably makes more sense this way. So, I mean, who knows where they'll go with it, but it's probably a better way to do it.
But the whole, like, part of the cutscene where it's like the Shinra hit squad's there and, like, Zack's like, oh, hi, guys, basically, and just, like, pulls out the sword. Right, and he, gets injured afterwards. Apparently that's right out of Crisis Core.
Really?
Yeah. So, but that's part of the thing is, like, if we could have spoilers about the rest of the game, then there's more about that I would like to discuss, but we can.
Well, hopefully we're right back here in
2 years.
And not 3, 4, 5 years.
Oh God, I hope. I really hope so.
I mean, hell, if we weren't in the middle of a COVID pandemic or whatever, I might have gotten on a flight and gone down there. But
yeah, man,
Right.
I don't know. It was good. It
Any
definitely left
closing-
me wanting more.
Well,
I'm
that's what I was
still
gonna
on
say.
the fence. I'm on the fence about
I don't
trying
want
for the
the-
platinum.
Oh,
Like,
I was gonna
What is
say
the platinum in this one? I don't
you have
even
to
know.
beat it on hard, which is what scares the
Mm.
crap out of me. And
There's
everything
no
I've read
way.
is like you need to max all your materia and get to level 50 before you even think about trying it on hard.
I'm
and
So,
like,
I don't know.
and there's no items, right?
And you can't use items. Yeah.
There's no way.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to happen. But
yeah, it's like screw that. I think my character's a level 35,
I finished at
36.
35.
I think I was
Um,
33 or 34.
Yeah.
And it was just like, yeah, I'm not like, I don't even know how I want to, like, do I go through the whole thing and level? Because you get what, 2 times AP and 3 times experience or vice versa for
Yeah, you
that?
get 2 of one and 3 of the other. I don't remember what's what, but so
think
yeah,
it's
I mean,
2
you would
AP.
get there relatively quick. But that's the other thing. There, other than like the Coliseum, since there's not really like random bad, I don't know where I would go to hang out to just grind to level
think
up. Like it's I don't know where
I-
you would do that in this game.
I think you would do it in the Shinra battle thing.
Yeah, maybe either that or the Coliseum. Yeah,
Right,
just to
and-
just have fight after fight after fight. I guess that's where you do it, but
I mean, that's how you, Final Fantasy, that's how you level up a lot of them.
right.
So just, and that's the other thing. It's like, this game is just like, oh, I can see my enemy. Let me go smash him in the face. Like, it's like, the original is like, let me walk around and see if something
Until
attacks
I get
me.
a
Just walk
random
around
encounter,
until it
yeah.
happens. Yeah.
It's just like, oh, there's a couple of random encounters that you know are going to happen, but it was like, yeah, I don't know. I might actually sit down and beat it again, beat the original again.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've got a backlog of games that I still haven't played.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, my PS4 queue is empty.
Really?
All the games I have that I haven't beaten are on my Xbox.
I know there's a couple games Kevin wants me to play on PlayStation.
There's
But
one. Well, yeah, you've got them both right now.
Death Stranding, Uncharted 4.
Uncharted 4. Yeah.
I guess
I
those are
picked-
the big two.
I picked up the Nathan Drake collection because it was free. That was
Yeah, it's
great.
free. Why not? Yeah. Eventually. I don't know when. I'll get around to it at some point.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how long I stick with the original. I'm definitely at least going to get through Midgar. I want to see that through so I can experience all that and see
You
all
need
the
to at least-
changes.
Yeah, get through Midgar, see how the game
I would
feels, how it
s-
plays once you leave Midgar and you get the world map, and then figure
Well-
out if you still are interested.
Yeah, because the nice thing about the next couple of things that happen after you get out of Midgar are it's backstory for some of your playable characters, right?
Okay.
So like, you know,
The first thing that happens when you leave Midgar, like the first town you go to, they all sit around. I mean, well, yeah, we're talking about the original. Like, I don't know what's going to happen in the remake. I don't know. But in the original, yeah, like Cloud tells his story, or at least part of it. So you get a lot of backstory
Okay.
right
Right.
off the bat after leaving Midgar. So,
and then after that, I think you either go to Cosmo Canyon or you go to Corel.
I think, yeah, you go Cosmo
I think-
Canyon first. You go Calm, which you're in and out of there quick. And then I think Cosmo Canyon right after that.
Right. So that's Red 13's backstory, which I think is one of the more interesting
Mhm.
ones.
Yeah.
And then after that, you go get Barrett's backstory, which is actually, I think, really well done.
Yeah.
Barrett's backstory would be my favorite if it wasn't for Red 13's.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you should stick with it. Maybe not beat
Yeah.
the whole game, but at least see
Um,
what it's like. Because it's like a different game once you leave Midgar. Like the
Right.
battle, obviously, the battle mechanics are the same, but just it feels like a different game. So I think you should experience that at least.
Yeah, the other thing that's really nice about the original is that there's so many party members too. Like there are
Yeah.
2 optional party members, one of which has the coolest limit breaks, but it's most annoying limit break too.
Yeah.
With Vincent, basically he turns into a beast
Yeah.
of some sort, and you can't control him,
Right.
but he does an obscene amount of damage.
Yeah.
And he's a vampire that shoots things. He's a really cool character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to give it a try and just I'll see how far I get, but I cannot make any promises because the whole turn-based thing, I'm just going to be going limit
Well-
break, limit break, limit break, limit break.
Well, it's not even, the thing is, like, it's not even like,
But
yes,
that's-
it is
I guess-
turn-based, but it's not like it's not Final Fantasy X, right?
Right. Well, it's also, you don't really, it's a great game, but you play it more for the story. So you can
exactly.
You can't just turn on no encounters, because then you'll be screwed and you won't be able to beat the game because you won't be leveled up. But just, you can fly through the battles, like whatever, and just take in the story.
Right.
Like, that's what I think you'll get more out of. Even if you don't like the gameplay, if you just leave limit breaks on, you can just kill everybody without even a second thought, and it's super easy. You just really get to experience the story at that point. So I think you should do it.
I'll be doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The like, you don't have to be like me, and I got on one playthrough. I wish I still had this memory card. I might still somewhere, but I had all the characters up to 99. I had all of their ultimate weapons, and I had all of their limit breaks.
Good Lord.
That's my goal for this playthrough, but
it was some obscene amount of time, like 100 hours into the game.
Right.
But you're also talking about this is in college.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, life is different now.
Yeah.
Life is really different right now. But yeah.
Well.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's actually not that much different, because it's like, instead of, other than I get to work from home, but it's like, I live alone. I don't do much, so this isn't much different.
Right.
Other than my girlfriend's in New York and I haven't seen her in 2 months.
Oh God,
Other than that, it's like, I literally this is the most social interaction I've had in my apartment in years, probably.
Yeah.
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 Well, all right. Is there any closing thoughts or anything before we wrap it up? I just love this freaking game. I absolutely love it.
I do too.
Yeah.
Sean, what thing from the original are you most looking forward to seeing in a remake?
I was thinking about that. I so much. If they kill off Aerith, I want to see how that all plays out, even though it's going to kill me. Rocket Town in general.
Rocket Town's going to be awesome.
The weapon, like
the Junon weapon.
The weapons.
Yes. Junon, that is going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah. God, I don't know. There's so much. I'm honestly just curious to see how they adapt the open, like the overworld. Like, you can't do a overworld like was in that. It'll look ridiculous in this game. So everything's just going to have to be to scale. Like, you're just walking around the world, but then that will take forever. If you everything, so.
Or do they do something like Final Fantasy X, where they just have
it's just like a menu kind of, like you just. I don't know. I'm curious to see. That's what I'm
the high one would be
to
cool.
See how they just handled the world going forward. I think it's probably just not as open, and it's probably going to be more linear. I would imagine. I think it has to be. So I'm most curious about that. But as far as just what I want to see, Rocket Town is definitely up there.
The biggest thing I want to see is the Cosmo Canyon event that happens.
Oh yeah.
I want to see how they do
backstory, basically.
Yeah, how they do that in high definition graphics.
Yeah,
that'll be awesome. That would be awesome. Yeah. Or
I can't wait.
Or like even the reason why Rocket Town is the way it is scene. Yeah. There's a lot of just random cutscenes I just want to see.
Right.
Or Junon and the weapon.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It's like it's already my most anticipated game, and it hasn't even been basically
formally announced.
Yet.
Like there. But the only thing I've heard is like, yes, they have started work on it.
Yeah.
But no crap. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, I would hope they started on it.
I mean, I want to play as Red 13. I want to play as Sid. I really want to see how Sid's character is.
But, he's awesome, yeah.
Because the thing is, like, they're actually swearing in this game.
Yeah, which
like every other, it's like every other sentence.
Well, that's it. If you pay attention to the originally, they just like bleep it out with like special characters, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
okay,
right? So like Barrett especially has a foul mouth. Like Sid is worse, but like Barrett is pretty bad, and it was just like holy crap! They actually started saying that. What is the rating on this game? Like
T. Which I was surprised with all that language.
Really?
Wow.
Because my boys were like, "Can we play it?" And originally I was like, "Yeah, of course." And now I'm like, "Oh, can I mute Barrett or something for them?" Like, I mean, it's nothing.
I wonder-
There's
I wonder
no
if there's a-
F-bombs, right?
No,
I wonder if there's a
no.
mature
So,
language filter or something like that.
It's
you can turn
probably
on.
it's probably no worse than what they already hear Daddy say.
from mommy. Yeah,
yeah, Mommy, of course.
it's always
Jess and her potty mouth.
All right. I think that's a good spot to wrap it up. Hope you guys like listening to this. We don't do a whole lot of spoiler casts here, but this was a big one that we definitely thought we wanted to go into. I'm glad Jayson was able to join us from, I don't know, 2,000 miles away. I don't know.
That's about
distances.
2,000. Yeah.
Yeah. But this was a lot of fun. We'll be back later this week for the normal podcast. But yeah, it's definitely my game of the year so far. And,
Well, having covered all this, our actual podcast will probably be kind of short.
well, we got a lot of news to go into.
Oh,
but,
well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's some good ones though.
It's probably good that we got this out of the way then.
Yeah. On the regular podcast, for people that aren't listening to this, I'll just say I beat it. I love it. It's my game of the year. And Last of Us Part 2 has its work cut out for it if it actually even comes out this year. So
I don't think we're going to see that game until next year.
I think it'll be this year, but I think it's
November.
a PS5. Yeah, I think
I think
November,
it's PS5.
December.
I think it's
Yeah.
PS5, which means I'm not going to play it until at least next year.
yeah.
Because I'm probably going to get the Xbox from the get-go this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because they hadn't have already announced a Halo game for it, then I wouldn't have done that.
Right. Well, all right. This has been a fun one. I don't need to do the whole rigmarole because this is kind of a bonus episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jayson, thank you for being here. Sean,
No problem.
thank you for being here. And until the next time, Sean, go ahead and take us out.
Thank you for playing.